Morning. Excuse me. Who we got in here? Let me pull up the scanner and see what we got hitting it. What was it? Unusual volume, and then what else? Uh-oh. Let's see. Good morning, Antoine. How you doing? Yeah, that's weird about your public app. I would look to see if they have like a pre-market setting or an extended hours setting, to be specific, if they allow that or not, because it seems like they're not showing pre-market data whatsoever. I'm great, man. Ready for another green day. Been doing pretty well since last Monday. As some of you may know, I started a small account challenge. Tucked about $100 into my account. It's currently sitting at like $963. I wanted to use it as an example, basically, of what you can do with even a small amount of money. So, really focused on that on my personal account. About to start. I think today is going to be the beginning of getting the Millennial investment portfolio back up and running. I went all cash to get out of some of the stocks we were in. Although I do feel like they're going to run pretty well, I wanted to buy them at cheaper prices, basically. Just kind of waiting for everybody to hop in here. I know it takes a minute before everybody does. General. Oh shit, I already did that. Oh, my bad. Supposed to keep this clean. Guess everybody woke up late this morning. So right now it's just me and you. Is there any stocks that you're interested in, Antoine? Otherwise, we can go through some that I'm looking at. Oh, are you serious? It doesn't have options? What? Man. Why does it feel like... Oh, SKT. Am I looking at the right thing then? SKT. I wasn't. Okay. Really sucks they don't have options. I was hoping to do some option plays on Socket Mobile. I was looking at the wrong chart though. So, anyways. It's currently up. Pre-market, I think it was 13%. Carparts.com is up about 13%. Why is this not loading, man? Trying to get my top screen working. Okay, that's fine. Since you're here with me, I don't mind sharing some of the alerts we're looking at going into today. What I really like doing is using my scanner in the morning to basically F cells on the list, NKLA, Eric's on the list, RMO's on the list. F cell is something I'm highly interested in, though. The fact that it's pulling back from these $13 levels, I'm definitely going to be looking at some options on it. That's what I'm looking for. Is basically options on plays we've been watching. And as far as is concerned, I wouldn't mind buying these $2 options right here because it's currently pretty good in the money. Going into pre-market, we're at like 13.50. As long as Tesla doesn't pull back on me, I think I could win on this. I have about 38 days out. I'd lose $3 a day while I waited for the move to happen, but I'm ultimately looking for F-Cell to go back to the 20s over the next, few weeks. ZOM, DPW, cool. We can look at those. But F-Cell definitely something to look at. Do you have the ability to buy options, Antoine? I see we have someone else in here. I know it seems like it's taking a little bit of time for people to hop in with us, but it looks like I'm just gonna have to restart this PC up here because I really need it working. But definitely looking at some option plays on F-Cell. Just to give a quick review, just to reiterate some of the things that I looked at this morning. We saw the same type of gap up on the SPY this morning. What's up, Jeff? How you doing, man? Glad to see you here. What I've come to realize is we do have a few people come from the Discord community, but they're not morning people. And I like to do my coffee and stock sessions in the morning because I scan the markets, and what I'm looking at in those scans is finding the liquidity, and some of the stocks are on that scanner, and it'll kind of show me, give me a heads up on, following the money throughout the day, because a lot of money's moving through in pre-market before the rest of the market's even able to get into it, for some people at least, that is. I'm not sure. Can somebody answer this question for me? When are you able to start trading on Robinhood every morning? If somebody can answer that question, I can look it up, of course. It's not no big deal. Looking at ZOM. ZOM re-hit the scanner yesterday. As you know, we've been waiting for ZOM to stay above that 212 level. Already have our tech analysis on it. I like the fact that ZOM, even though it pulled back to these 140 levels, it's sticking strong to that longer term trend. I expect it to bounce above this 194 and bounce above that long term trend and keep riding it up. Of course, they have a new device that they're releasing at the end of the month. I believe it's the end of March, so a lot of expectations on that. 6:30. Okay. Is that Central Time, 6:30? Yeah, I saw you had a ban on there. What'd you do to get that? You don't have to put that on here. I'm just messing. I see a few more people hopped in here with us. Good morning, everyone. We're looking at a few stocks that Antoine wanted to go over. But ultimately, Antoine, we need to get above that 194, back above those levels, which, of course, it was pulled down by the rest of the markets. Let me get this NASDAQ out of here. I don't think ZOM's on the NASDAQ, is it? It's on the New York Stock Exchange, so Pacific time. So that's 8:30 here, so right at market open. But with ZOM, I got you. Looking for it ultimately to be above that 212, and that's where I was going after that 235 level, and then potentially 291, which would provide us with about 40% swing on the trade, I think, give or take, if we were to get into it right now. I don't think ZOM has any options on it, though. Let me see. I mean, a lot of the stocks that we've been looking at, though, are hitting my scanner this morning, so it looks like everything's finally propping back up to reopen again. Yeah, ZOM doesn't have any options. Morning, Reg. How you doing? 9:30 Eastern when the market's open. I got you. So, I thought that, Robinhood wasn't able to start trading until market open or a little bit before it. But that justifies why I like looking at my scanner pre-market. because it shows me where most of the liquidity is going in the markets before we even open. And what I mean by that is I have a scanner that scans the market for certain setups. And then I have a study on that scanner that tells me basically the money volume going into some of these stocks. One of those being FCell. We'll look back at it now that you guys are jumping in here. Antoine wanted to look at ZOM, DPW, SNDL, and AMC. So we're going to look at those. So I expect ZOM ultimately to hop above that 194. Of course, it's right there at 193. But hold above there is what I'm looking for. And ultimately retesting the 212. We're coming into a compression zone right here in this ascending triangle, at least on this time frame right here. But if you do something to this degree, just a little bit up, this is a very strong compression zone that I think it could bounce above those 212s. And ultimately, if I were to get into 212, I would confirm the support above the 235, let it sit and run. And sell at that 235. You still win about 10% on the swing trade, but as long as it stays above that, I'd let it go and probably scalp on the way up, 10% increments or so. So the next one, DPW, like I said in the Facebook chat group, I expect DPW to bounce due to Bitcoin coming up to 53,000. I'm gonna go ahead and add that in here so we can have a look at it. At 54,000, which only pushes my thesis. We needed to stay above the 52,640. It's been riding in between this 44,364 and 49,194 for the past few weeks, with some breakouts, but showing the momentum to the upside and making its way back to that longer term trend it's been trading on, which got it here to begin with in these 57,000 levels. If Bitcoin comes up, you can expect Tesla to come up because of their $1.5 billion investment in it. And then you can expect the rest of the EVs to come up, which is why DPW is a dual play, because they have electric vehicle charging stations, to my understanding, on Amazon. And then they're also a crypto mining company. They're really a holdings company, so they acquire a bunch of smaller businesses. And those are two plays. So it kind of correlates in two different ways with DPW, and why I think it's going to pop back up above this 356 moving forward. That was a strong support level that it broke below from the 1st of March until now. And as you can see, it's since reverted and came back up. I'm looking for calls off of it. I might do some calls until we get to this 454 area, capture some of those gains, and whatever I profit off of it, I might throw in on an equity state and just let it sit and run. Because ultimately, when we were first looking at DPW, we were riding this longer term trend line. It's had some issues getting back to it. Good morning, Nick. How you doing? We can look at LKCO in a minute for sure. But that's what I'm looking at. Some calls on DPW. At least probably $3 calls in the money calls. That way I'm making the most for my dollar. For every dollar it continues to go up a little further out, a few months out. So that way I can tick up this about $3 to $4 gain right here, and hopefully looking for something a little bit cheaper, so that it doesn't cost me a lot to sit money aside and hold. Of course, you guys know I'm doing this small account challenge where I started, cleared my personal account, started with $100. It's now at 964, I think, 969.81. So I'm definitely watching the SPY too. Like, we always have to consider where the rest of the markets are. And I've been tracking it this morning. I'm going to track it again. We're pretty much green from where we were yesterday. One thing that I like is the VIX fell 6% overall from the end of the day, but it fell 12% from yesterday's morning. And that's what this basically shows me and provides me as far as information goes. So I'll keep tracking it moving forward. We have an overall score of 7, so I expect the markets to open up pretty heavy, is what that tells me. The VIX being down another 3% this morning. Crude being down, so you can see oil plays a little bit low. Precious metals, this is what people use to hedge. So seeing copper down is one that I really pay attention to, is a good indicator. Ultimately, the international market's doing well. If they're doing well, we'll typically do well. As you can see, we're green across the board there as well, up about 1%. So we had a gap up on the SPY just like yesterday, but I had the 10-year that I'm watching all morning, which gapped down below where it gapped up yesterday. So that's a good signal. And I'm going to be watching the momentum on it as well, just to, catch you guys up with my thesis for the day. Although you see we're kind of doing a swing here on the 10-year. So definitely something to watch along with the SPY and the NQ. I'm currently sitting at 385.03, and I think we need to stay above. We need to get above 385.75. So where this is our midterm downtrend that we've been talking about and focusing on for the past few weeks, ever since at least mid-February. It's been in this trend. We've been playing that since. You guys know I did puts on it yesterday. I'm potentially looking at more puts on it because of the fact that it's staying true to this trend, although it broke out based on the stimulus news. And I think, as the 10-year, if it does pick back up, we'll continue adding pressure. We still need the House to approve stimulus package and the amendments done to it on its side. So it's not necessarily saying that the stimulus package is completely priced into the markets just yet, because it's not completely confirmed, and we don't know that it's actually going to get pushed out just yet. I'm not saying it's not going to. But to get back to the list of stocks we wanted to look at, SNDL, currently sitting at 122, bounced off the dollar. It needs to stay above a dollar ultimately, or it can lose compliance, I believe, with the NASDAQ. Let me make sure. Yeah. So if you watch the NASDAQ, then you can kind of understand where this is going to go as well. How do you feel about Novavax? We can look at that next. Let me finish with SNDL. I've been watching this bottom trend that I've formed here, or that it's formed, excuse me, and hopefully we can use that to ride through these levels and continue breaking up. I know a lot of people are kind of holding this in the $2 ranges. A lot of people are just waiting for it to move overall. And I was doing some deep DD, as I call it, on it over the weekend, and I actually figured out that they themselves have identified that CGC is the best stock to get into in the weed sector, to be honest, because they're performing a lot better. They have a lot more market share in the Canadian markets, as most of these Canadian companies are focused on hitting the U.S. markets. That's the difference here. So something to pay attention to moving forward. But ultimately, Sandal needed to stay above that 136, so hopefully it can get back to that eventually, and you can see this continue breaking through these 155 levels, which has actually played a very strong level of resistance for it. It's broke above it and jumped to 171. I know that, but ultimately it can't seem to find the support above the 155, which is my key level to pay attention to. I feel like if it does ever find that support above it, then this could catalyst up to at least 228, 312 is what I'm looking at. Yeah, and that's another thing. That's why I personally was all for SNDL. I actually alerted on SNDL back when they released the fact that they paid off all their company debt, and then they did their I think it was like a $1 billion, $2 billion shelf offering, so they have that liquidity to access, and I think they did something that they acquired another company in between November and now that is going to allow them to have brand diversity, and basically diversify their product offering a little bit more. So definitely something to watch. I mean, it's a great company. They're doing great things. I'm not saying that, this isn't going to do something. But a lot of people are concerned that it's going to go below a dollar. I don't think it is. As you can see, it found strong support there, and that actually played as resistance before. So to find that support means that it's only going to continue moving up from here. Hopefully, it doesn't keep going sideways. To look at AMC, you wanted to look at AMC. I've been watching AMC because it's been on my scanners. I'm not a fan of AMC, but this is the trend that I would pay attention to. If it can stick to this trend, then you could potentially see it retesting this $11 and this ascending triangle. But back here I was talking about I did a video on AMC, and I said we needed to get above that 1108. Of course, it got rejected. So until it finds the momentum to break through that level, then you can expect it to see $6 and stuff like that. Until then, I'm not getting into the trade myself. I'm not keeping up with the company either to justify any DD on it. What I would look for is from what I hear is they did some stock offerings in the process, and all they did was pay their CEOs. They didn't actually apply that money to the actual business in order to basically adjust to the current situation that they're in. You know, people, movie states are opening up, sure. So movie theaters should follow. I think New York AMC theaters just reopened for the first time since March. So you can start to see that 92% of attendance fall that they saw since March go away. And as it starts to go away, it's, you know, you'll start seeing this pick up. But until then, more and more states need to open up for this to actually see some movement, true movement as far as the true business under the underlying stock price, if I could put it that way. So definitely something to pay attention to. The next stock, Jeff wanted to look at Powell. You've been talking about Powell in Discord. I was kind of upset that I missed these moves that you've been jumping on. I actually been watching you, I think, since the beginning of February. Good morning, Justin. How you doing, man? Glad to have you here. There was something I wanted to talk to you about, Justin. I can't remember what it was. But Powell currently sticking true to this long-term trend on the rebound. I want to see if it bounces off of that moving forward. But just to look at it from a tech analysis, like I started, I look for these levels of rejection and see how they correlate. That's my objective every day. And I look for those levels of support, that being the 533, even in the market pullbacks over the past few weeks. Of course, this is an ammo manufacturing company. Anytime you have a Democratic candidacy, you're going to see an increase in ammunition costs, which is great for these manufacturers. People flooding the market buying ammo, basically, anytime there's a Democratic government. So this is on the NASDAQ. I would watch the NASDAQ and how it moves, which we need to look at. I haven't been watching the NASDAQ as much as I should have been. With it being mainly surrounded around tech stocks and stuff like that. But as you can see, it was breaking below that 12,465 level yesterday that we identified, in which it needs to stay above. And I think that goes all the way back to right here, which was a support level that it found before. And a few times almost, I guess you could say that. It was a little gap above it right there. But it needs to stay above that 12,465. Current down channel that it's in, we can kind of identify that by doing this. No, let's see, I'll leave that up there. So that's what we're looking at right now, and then I would just clone this basically and see where it aligns, or if it does, and that'll kind of help you identify your channel that you're trading in. We're currently midway, so this actually could bounce back up, but just as hard as it could bounce back up, I expect it to bounce up more than down. Because of this support level in the middle of this downward channel, back up to at least, you know, the 12,972s. So that's what we need in the tech market. Tech stocks should be rotating to the upside today. With the SPY, what was it I read this morning? The 10-year treasury yield being down. It's currently at 153. It was all the way up to 160 yesterday. It actually gapped up from the 153 area to about 155 area to about 158 yesterday, and then traded as high as 165, I think. 1605 is what I'm trying to say. So, but then it has since pulled back below that gap up, which is good. So you can see some pressure off the interest rates concerns that were causing the rotation in the markets due to interest rates increasing, which is going to happen, like I said yesterday, because of the fact that the markets are coming back open across the country. So you can expect those interest rates to correlate with that. But it's going to take a lot of buying power away from the housing market as rates go up, any loans, lending, stuff like that, business loans and stuff like that. Of course, the Fed rate is, I think, staying the same ultimately. So small business loans and stuff like that will still be pretty powerful to the most part. To look at LKCO, man, that thing popped up pretty heavy mid February, but it has since retraced very well. One thing that stands out to me is this level right here, that 75-cent level, which is currently a few cents below. But actually, you can kind of readjust that because it kind of popped above that. So we'll actually adjust it to right where it's at. This could actually pop off of that 75-cent level, Nick. I would definitely watch that moving forward. And then the next level I would pay attention to ultimately would be somewhere around the $1. So you could honestly make about 30 to 40% off that swing alone. See if it bounces back up above that dollar. Call this your green zone, your buy zone. You can incrementally buy into this as it moves up to confirm that move. I wouldn't dump a bunch of money into it all at once. I would buy it in pieces, maybe in thirds or even fifths, like fifth of the position you're looking to dedicate to it, on the way up to that $1, and then let it break through that dollar. See if it finds support as it did before once it broke through it, or if it's gonna be rejected and pull back down. If it's rejected, go ahead and hop out or start scalping down. And then wait for it to rebound, and then that way it'll break back through, unless there's a catalyst, of course, that comes in and pushes it all the way through those levels. So that's what I would pay attention for it. Anything above that would be somewhere around the 136 is what I'm seeing as the next level. So I'll make that our mid level of resistance to pay attention to. And then also I mean, ultimately, you can see that it bounced all the way up here, but I would stick it actually where the rejection occurred, which was around the 281 and right here at the 220. So we have two mid levels of resistance to pay attention to here. Bounce above the $1, let it run to the 136, see how it reacts, and just go from there. If you get above the 136, though, then you can expect and find confirmation of support above those levels, then you can expect to retest those 220s, and ultimately you're looking at almost that's almost near 300% or 200% off trade if you were to buy it at 75 cents. Next stock we're going to look at is Mvax. Yes or no, wanted to look at it. I did a review on it. I was looking forward to stay above this 175. I identified that level, I believe, from back here, and as you can see, it pulled down from those levels, of course. So definitely a cheaper price than even when I identified it. Watch the NASDAQ on it, of course. Of course, the NASDAQ has a lot of work to do in itself to get back to comfortable levels. And what I want to look at is this longer term trend on it. And let me see if it even sticks true here. So looks like we had some dips. And how I'm basing this off of is where the stock price interacts with this trend line the most, and that's right here. So that's why I'm paying attention to it that way. I could potentially bounce back to 130 before I would hop in it. You're definitely buying it on discount from these 300 levels, almost 50%. A lot of the stocks we've been looking at are at 50% discounts right now, so you can buy into them and hold them for a while. But I want to see if it's going to fill that gap right there to the longer term trend line before it bounces back off of it. Of course, like I said, the NASDAQ has some work to do in order to do that. Nokia bounced off of the it broke down, but it bounced right back off of that 384, currently sitting at 395. It needs to be above this 433 level before I feel comfortable with it again. Of course, you can also shift your buy zone down a level now and call this your midline resistance that we need to get above, and keep resistance above that and continue moving higher, of course. And then the next level we could actually adjust would be somewhere around let me see, right there, about the 514. So if it gets above 433, you were to buy in between now and then. I know that you've been holding it at 417, I believe, which is right above that top line support level that we need to get above. So I think you're good to hold as long as it can get back to those levels pretty safely, and then continue riding that support up and breaking through that 433. The only reason I pop out that 433 is because it's played pretty strong resistance for it before. I'm just going back to see if it's ever hit those levels in previous chart history, but it's currently playing strong resistance right before the pop that it had, and then it played resistance again there. So that's something to watch out for. If you get to that 433, I would go ahead and probably hop out of it and allow it to retrace back to this green zone and hop back in it if you really want to hold it long term. I know you're holding that much longer than most people. ELYS. All right, let's see what we got. It looks like it's a fairly new stock, just unless it did a ticker switch, would be the only other explanation. It looks like it may have just IPO'd, but it looks like it's bouncing off that 450, about 34 cents above that. Let me pull in my momentum indicators. Looks like this could be pulling back a little bit, so I would watch out for that. Currently trading below its EMAs. Looks like it tried to pop up and hit that 34 EMA before rejection and came back down. See how it reacts to the 450. I'm not sure if you're in this already, Justin, but let's see how we react to this 450 for the third time. As you can see, it's played strong support before and resistance as well. And once it was able to break through that resistance, that's ultimately what put it in this price range that it's trading in right now. So, and then, you know, if we bounce off that 450, watch out for the 723s, which will give you almost about, that's about 75% of the return. I'm doing that off the top of my head, by the way, so don't quote me on my math this early in the morning, please. But yeah, let's look at it on the 1 hour a little bit deeper before I suggest anything. Yeah, so this is why I use the indicators I have, is because they show me the momentum shifts, and they show me my entries, they show me my exits. This is basically, I'll use this chart for an example. Give me just a second. Let me get this set up right. This is in the way. What is that? We need the 4 square, and I'll close this here. So basically how I'll watch this now, or how I have been, I need to pull my TDA up here while I'm sitting here. Is I'll set it up where I have the 1 minute or the 5 right here, and then the 10 minute over here. Pop that in there, and then the 30 minute or 1 hour. I like the 1 hour more than the 30. 30s are actually what I used for my entry. 4 hours is what I use for my long term. Now this might look confusing to some, but let me see. Something's missing here. And something's added here. I don't even know what this. This is my volume weighted, I bet. Just give me a second. Get this set up properly. Seems like I have to do this every day. Volume weighted MACD. Why aren't you showing? Super weird, super weird. Oh, I know why. No, that's not it either. But ultimately, you could do it like this and then reset the chart. There we go. I use Thinkorswim TradingView Pro for my chart analysis. Let me pull that in and pop that back real quick. Nope, stop it. And just get that set up. But anyways, so I do my 30 minute to 1 hour here, my 4 hour to 1 day here, and then my 10 minute stays right here, 5 to 10 minute, and I'll do my 15 to 1 minute here. But it kind of helps me find momentum shifts in my trades a lot easier, so I can find my entries and stuff like that. Is what I was trying to get at ultimately. But this looks like it's currently dying out a little bit. I would wait to see how it reacts to that 450, because the momentum could actually bring it back down. It could break down below that due to the momentum coming down so heavy on it. Let me, where are my momentum indicators? All right, there we go. Yeah, you see the MACD's going red. It is currently trading in oversold status, so definitely something to watch for. But even the volume weighted MACD is showing signs of weakness. So let me look at it on the 4 hour. I go through all my time frames too. I don't watch things on the 1 minute for a reason. They do show you where things are headed on a minute by minute basis, but I'm mainly focused on the 5 minute, the 10, the 1 hour, the 4. And if I don't see any confirmations of any swings, then I won't pay attention to the stock. And this actually has some more room to come down before it actually will go up. So I'm expecting 450 to be that level. Next level being about $4. So if anything, you can look at it from this standpoint as a buy zone around the 405, between the 405 and the 450. And I'm going to pay attention to this I like doing this with you guys so that I can go back and see, all right, how far off was I? Not that I was right or wrong, or not even about being right or wrong. How far off was I? And then trying to calculate, what did I miss? You know what I mean? What did I need to account for a little bit more next time in doing my analysis? And that's basically how I built my standard of analysis now. SDGR. Sorry, I know you were waiting on doing that, yes or no, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys an example. Once again, you're starting to see the same indications of a pullback on the EMA. Now, this could pull back. The difference between this pullback here and what is forming now is this gap down. And it gapped down almost, what, $20, $30? And almost 40. I would want to know why. It looks like it came off of the earnings report. And it looks like they actually beat earnings. So that's probably a buy the expectation, sell the news, or buy the rumors, sell the news, or buy the earnings, sell the actual report. So you're buying this for almost 40% off. Like I said, most stocks are currently about 50% off now. So if you missed a lot of opportunities before, you're definitely gaining the opportunity to get into some of these trades now at better than ever prices if you compare it to where they had been running. I want to look into this a little bit more. I'm going to pull it up on the side here and kind of get an understanding of what SDGR is, because I haven't really looked at it myself. It is a computational software solutions for drug discovery to the biopharmaceutical industry. The company operates in two segments, software and drug discovery. The software segment is focused on licensing the company software for molecular discovery, and then the drug discovery segment is focused on building a portfolio of preclinical and clinical drug programs internally and through collaboration. Its platform integrates solutions for predictive modeling, data analytics, and collaboration. Its wholly owned program includes SDGR 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. SDGR 1 and 2 are drug discovery programs focused on targets that mediate DNA. Repair, cell cycle regulation, replication, stress responses, and I can't even say the second word. I'm not even going to try and make myself look retarded. And then SDGR 3, 4, and 5 discovery programs are focused on genetically defined cancers. Looking at the company, though, just the fundamentals, doing well, even in a pandemic. They haven't reported anything for 2020, so all this information I'm about to share with you is based off 2019. EPS growth was up 15%. They were on track. I would say they would be on track to go positive on EPS growth in the next 6 years. Of course, this is a pharmaceutical software company is what I would call it. So a lot of what I'm getting at is they're not an actual pharmaceutical manufacturer, but a lot of their money most likely goes to research and development. So you can expect things like that. Now, I say that to say this. They didn't report 2020 full year earnings report yet, so it's not showing up. And all that information I just told you on an annual basis was based off of 2019. But they are reporting quarterly earnings. They have reported for Q1, 2, and 3 of 2020, and it's looking very well. For 2020, they actually went positive in Q3. They were up 186% EPS growth Q over Q, and their net profit margins were up 197%. So it looks like their licensing model is working for them. Another thing that I've started to use is the market capitalization against the common equity ratio. And what that basically tells me is investor sentiment. If it's above a 1, which this is sitting at a 5.23, then people that are invested in it expect this to continue going up, no matter where it lands, but continue going up. And then so what I would do is take that information and apply it basically to our technical analysis, which we're looking at now. A level of support that we should have found, even with the earnings report, should have been above the 74.05. Now, a lot of this could have been, overselling, which is actually oversold on the daily, as you can see on the RSI. And just so you guys know, on my RSI analysis, I use 25 as my low level and 75 as my top versus 30 as my low level and 70 as my top, because it shows a more defined oversold status than what typically seen. And once it hits that level, it can slim down the chance that you can expect this to rip. And with that being said, I expect this to do so. if you look at where this price is sitting right now, there was actually support here and resistance as well, and then continued support where it gapped up and found that support above it. And even though it oversold, that's where it landed. So to sum up my answer for this, great time to buy into this. You're buying it almost 36 to 40% off. You can hold this long term. They're a licensing company, so what I would pay attention to is more, contracts that they gain. I would look into their investment and relations page and see what markets they're already in, what markets they're going after, and how much of the market share they've already captured. And then you can understand how much room they have to go after. And that'll help you understand the growth rate behind the company a little bit better, if that makes sense. And so what my vote on this, go for it. Looks good. I mean, even on the weeklies, just straight up, topped out at like 120, 117, 118, it looks like. I'm going to go back to the daily and look at its basically the long-term growth of the stock. It actually only IPO'd back in, February, which sucks to do an IPO right before a pandemic. But that's a good thing, though, because at the same time, with that being said, because you see it broke out, and then this was the pandemic hit. And ever since then, it's been trading above that. So it's a strong growth stock long term, I think, performing well as a business. I would be interested in holding this for a very long time. One thing to pay attention to, though, with these types of companies, with it being mainly focused on their R&D, although they do have the sell side that it's showing doing well. With software companies, you constantly have to upgrade, which means you have to constantly pump money into your research and development, which means you have to either, one, get business loans or new investments. And one way to do that is private investments or public. This is a public company, so you can expect this to continue to do potential stock offerings. I haven't even looked into the news to see the last time they did that. Or, this could potentially be, this gap down could, with them having a great earnings report, this gap down could be because they did a stock offering. I'm not sure. I haven't went into it that far. I'm just speculating, but I'm just giving you multiple reasons and things to think about from a business standpoint, because I am a business major. I also have an IT degree. I understand software development and the processes in it. So, and I'm a web designer. So I understand a lot about software companies more than anything. I love tech, but that's what I would watch for going into this, yes or no. And I'm sorry, I've been focused on spending only a few minutes per stock that we look at, but I wanted to take time to at least go into that more in depth. If y'all give me just a second. Sorry, guys. Looking back, though, anybody got anything else they added to the list? Bitcoin is ripping. Watch for sympathy in Bitcoin mining. Yes. I'm not sure if you're in our Facebook chat. 10-year treasury yield is down, just to catch everybody up. So you can see a large rotation to the upside in the techs. NASDAQ has a lot of rebounding to do, though, to confirm that.
I need your keys so I can get my mouse out.
Oh, okay. It should be unlocked. I unlocked it for you. There you go. Tech should rotate, so the NASDAQ should follow. EV plays should follow that. Crypto plays should follow that. Semiconductors should go into there. And we actually have a list of trades we can look at. One thing that hit my scanner this morning, FCell. And FCell is currently seeing $361 million in transactions in pre-market alone. Another one, NKLA. Nikolai. If Nikolai's going to jump, you can see RMO jump, which hit my list as well. And that's the stock I went in very deep depth on my DD over the weekend. You can check the video out on the YouTube channel whenever you find some time. But this company right here is expected to see 171% growth in revenue by 2025. It jumps about 20% every year. They make the batteries for Nikola. They make the batteries for Freightliner, Peterbilt. What was the other one? Freightliner, Peterbilt, Kenworth trucks. They also have an investment by Borg Warner, so they work in collaboration with them. Borg Warner being a $14 billion annual. They make $14 billion in revenue every year. They focus on electronic and propulsion systems. So now you have the battery combination along with basically the transmission for EVs. They're working in collaboration together in providing class 7 and 8 vehicles, which are your standard 18-wheelers or diesel trucks now, and then your EV 18-wheelers that are coming out. That's what class 7 and 8 are. They have about a $225 billion market that they're going after in US and Europe, and then $665 billion, I believe, globally. And they expect to double their entire market cap within the next 2 years, which they're about $2.6 billion company right now. Definitely looking at this long term. I'm actually putting my profits in it because I expect it to be somewhat like the next Tesla, in my opinion, and I'm calling that now, and I have confidence in it after looking into the actual company a lot more in depth. A lot of their engineers come from Tesla, SpaceX, Amazon, so they use AI systems in their battery in order to expand lifespan, which ultimately lowers costs for the customer and extends basically, effectiveness and efficiency out of their system. So definitely something to watch. You wanted to look at Nikola, I don't mind. I've been saying for the longest time, as long as Tesla's coming down, you can expect all EV plays to do that, and that's basically why we're seeing price drops the way we are. You're buying Nikola for a discount that's crazy. Of course, Nikola hit like $100. I don't know why it dropped out. It was a large pump in the back when COVID really hit and a bunch of people started hitting the markets. But it's currently trading at 1462. I really want to see what the fundamentals are looking like now to get an understanding. Looking good. Still not net positive on their EPS growth in 2020. Of course, everybody took a hit in the COVID pandemic, but they're still up 51% quarter over quarter. They're not showing me any of their net profits on a quarterly basis or annually, but overall 10% or 8% up on EPS, and they were actually positive in 2019. I think they went negative due to the pandemic in 2020, so they have some way to go. And as far as their market cap to common equity ratio, they have a 7.28. So basically what that says is a lot of people are expecting this to continue going up. There's a lot of investor sentiment in it, and I agree. They're being not the only one, but they're direct competitors to the Tesla truck. So as long as Tesla's continue to pull back, though, we can expect some of these stocks to come down, which is a good thing because we're buying them at better prices. I said last week that if we broke 707 or 607 for Tesla, that we're going back to 502. It actually stopped at 540, but it stuck true to this long-term trend line. But ultimately, it's still going down, unfortunately. I wish I could get a grip on why. I expected Tesla to kind of be up today with Bitcoin being up and them having that position in there. What I've been looking for is Tesla bought in a Bitcoin at 44K for 34,000 Bitcoins roughly for that 1.5 billion, and it jumped up to 57,000 at its peak. So it's $13,000 they gained per Bitcoin times 34,000. I think it was like 475 million that they could have captured. My question is, did they? And as you can see, actual pre-market, we're actually finally seeing some reversal on the EMAs. This is on 15-minute, of course. Well, we need to get back above that 607. Hopefully, it can use that as a launch pad to continue moving higher, back to at least the 650s. If it does that, it'll bring the weight of the entire EV market with it. You could basically look at a lot of these stocks like Nikola and just see how Tesla correlates with those price points. Dylan just said, Tesla to 680. Dylan needs to hop on here with us. Not this. I'm sorry. Let me pull up Tesla real quick. And what I want to do this for is to see, confirm how the price points correlate. Pull that up to right here. And as you can see, this orange line is Tesla. And I mean, it goes with any stock we look at. You're going to see the same correlation. I mean, Romeo follows it to the T. So we should see Romeo pop. Romeo Power, RMO. I'm expecting it to pop back up to $10. You might find some resistance if Tesla finds some resistance around that. Let me scoot this down. So if Tesla were to go back to 680 today, we can see Romeo pop up to at least 1190, which is about a 20% swing. We could ride that, see how it reacts to that level. If Tesla pulls back from the 680s, in theory, if it goes back to those levels, we could ride that up, trim at the top, take some of those profits. Like I said, it's about a 20% swing, and then pull out 20%, 20, maybe 40%, scalp it, let it come back down, buy back in. Now that's a theory, as if we find resistance around the 680 for Tesla and 1190 for RMO. But I'm looking at holding this like a retirement plan. I think this is going to be a FANG stock one day. They're an industry leader in ion lithium batteries. I know that Tesla is going with another one, and that's what everybody's focused on. But there's so many other EV plays in the market that you need to pay attention to. It's not just one. So Nikolai also has test trucks in Arizona. Is doing the dot approval. What's a good buy-in at Romeo? ROMO? It's ROM or RMO. Excuse me. Now. Now is a great time to buy into it. Of course, it dropped below the $9. I wish I would have bought it then. I've been definitely looking for Tesla to stop weighing down on everything before I bought in, because I can get better, cheaper prices on some of these. But I'm definitely looking at getting into RMO now. I don't know if they have any options. Let me look. Ooh, I would be highly interested in these $30 on. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. I'm a little ADD sometimes, so give me a minute. Let me see something before I hop over to RMO. Is Nikolai going back to $1 or $30? Let's see. And I'm basically gonna base that without even having to do any technical analysis. I know I already have on this, but I'm gonna base that off of Tesla, right? So if Tesla goes to 680, it's only gonna get back up to $17 right now. Of course, they could use that catalyst that you're bringing up right now, Jeff, where they get DOT approval, and it skyrockets, $21, whatever. But I would have to see what their timeline is on that to kind of get an idea of when I replace my option. Now, what I was looking for was if Romeo Power had options. They do, thank God. And I would probably buy some in the monies right now. About the I would probably go out a little bit. I would want to buy in the monies for a pretty nice price. So I wouldn't mind paying, $185 for this and letting it hold. I'd make $60 for every dollar it goes up. And I ultimately think this is going to go back to $24 overall. And that's based off of my DD that I did. I actually see this being a $40 stock minimum. This is my minimum price line for RMO. $40 stock, no later than 2024. So it's definitely a growth stock, something you can dump your money into and let it grow up to that $40 period, which is about $30 from where it's at. So you got incremental time periods to hop into this. Now, if Tesla takes off, this is going to take off with it. And just to go back to this real quick, to see what if we're going to use Tesla as our market leader, our money market leader, if Tesla gets back to 900, what I'm looking for is more so 1,000. And what I need to do is kind of compress this a little bit so that it actually gives me the right reading. Because, it's following Tesla to a T. So, if we see Tesla back to 900 alone, I think that'll be the catalyst to pull this back to $20, which is 100% on the trade. If I were to get into this right now and it were to jump 100% on me, then I would split half my position and let the free money run. But of course, I'm trying to get this where it's like on point though. So give me a second. A little bit too much. And I'm using this as price gauges. So it's kind of cool that we can do this and using this to do that. So right about there is about the best we're going to get it. So if we go back to 880, we don't even have to hit 900. We're hitting $20 again. And then Tesla to 1,000 will probably put this at 24. And I'm honestly believing that it will happen. So, but I'm looking at my buy zone for RMO was between 960 and 1190. Looks like it's propping up on the 5-minute. Has some room to come back up to the 1207 on the 1 hour to 180 SMA. Which I can't believe. I can't remember if it was you, Jeff, or Mall Chad that was like, I use the 180 because most people use the 200. So using the 180 allows you to get ahead of them as far as selling out and stuff like that, or buying in. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking at there. I know I keep saying I'm not going to spend too much time on these stocks, but I just wanted to justify my price targets. And so all that being said, RMO going to $20 just off of Tesla moving does not incorporate the additional $30 already that I expected. So that pushes us to the $50, $60 range. Of course, Tesla has to not drag down the markets in the meantime while it does that. But I just think overall market cap. They actually are doing a merger for RMO. Also, I want to add with RMG, which is a acquisition company. They're actually merging those, so they're getting 2 board leaders, both senior analysts and directors from Goldman Sachs. One of them actually worked at Merrill Lynch and Morgan Stanley. So those 2 guys are coming to the board of RMO based on the merger at the end of the month with RMG, which is going to bring about another $234 million to the table. They're completely giving their assets in. And then I like that, Jeff, by the way. I want to throw that in there. I like that idea. I started incorporating that in my trading just because of you. So thank you. But that $234 million that they're adding to it is going to account for about 16% of their current market cap. So you can see the price jump at least 16% just off of that merger, which would actually put us around the 1160 based on this current price, just off that. So it has a lot of catalysts in play. What I would look for is more contracts. They have like $2.6 billion in negotiations right now, just waiting to be confirmed, which is basically doubling up their market cap now. So, and even with that being said, they'll still jump another 100% by 2025. And they expect all EVs to actually start rolling in by 2035, where there's it actually takes over our fuel emission type vehicles and have a growth of 19% every year after 2035. So we're only talking about 10 years before that. Just imagine where this could be 10 years beyond that. And Norrock actually told me, he said, man, you got to think of what you're doing right now as you're giving yourself a gift 10 years later. And I feel like this is one of those gifts that I'm giving myself. So I'm definitely getting into it. As of today, SOS just hit my scanner. And that most likely means there's a buy opportunity. Anytime something hits my scanner, it's forming up for a buy. SOS has been doing well past few days. Let me reset the chart so we can look at it a little bit better. There we go. So it's currently trading at 627 pre-market. Looking forward to break that 714. If it does, then I'm going to buy some in the money calls on it. I'm all over the board with calls today. I'm glad that we're seeing, interest rates pull down, which is currently at 153.9, sitting around 154. I guess you can flatten it there. The SPY is having some strength. It needs to get above 385.75, ultimately above 387.37 to break out of this midterm trend. I think it has the momentum to do it. And I've been saying that, once we do a triple top on this downward trend, I think we'll break out of it. And this was that triple top. That's where we saw the breakout yesterday. Of course, we had the stimulus package news help push it out of those levels. But I actually had puts on the SPY because I was actually selling the news. And actually, doubled my portfolio about 25% on my personal small account challenge. And I'm looking at doing some calls on this. Only for the simple fact that we're riding above this midterm trend line right now. Midterm downtrend trend line at the top. Now, this could open up. I'm going to look at my daily log and see where we're at. We're at a 9. We're at a 7 this morning. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but I'll zoom in. We're at a 7 this morning. Typically, when it's at a 9, that means the markets are going to open up higher and then pull back because they're going to open up so hard. So I might do some like quick puts on the reversal, but if it doesn't show momentum signs, I'll go ahead and do my calls to like 390. Be nice about some in the money calls on the SPY, but I track this at 7:30. It's 8:19, so I'll track it at market open. Overall, though, doing pretty well. Yesterday, all this section right here was red, and to see that it's bounced up above those pullback levels, of course, as you can see, and that's U.S. markets overall, and the overall what we're paying attention to, and the fact that the VIX is down 7% since yesterday at, what is that, 250 right before market close, but ultimately down what is that, about 10% since I tracked it yesterday at the same time around 812. So I'll keep tracking the markets going through the day. Like I said, we're looking pretty green across the board. The fact that the international equities are doing so well, I expect the U.S. markets to do the same. The NASDAQ's up 2.3% this morning alone. Great. That's going to confirm that tech stocks are going to move. SPY's coming up, so the rest of the market's going to follow. You're going to see a lot of buying coming into this, so I might not do puts at all. I'm just letting you know that typically when I see a score of 9, I never see a score above 9. And anytime I see a score of 7, you can almost expect a reversal of it because it's going to pull back a little bit. People are going to capture some of those gains, trying to get out of stocks that they've been holding on to that haven't been performing, or people are going to, just capture the gains that they hopped into this morning. So it's something to watch. I want to see what happens. I think there's going to be some slight pullback. I'm going to go ahead and mark my worries now just because it's so high in an overall score. I've been watching this for months and tracking this, and it's been pretty on point. So yeah, we're going to see some open come out in the morning, but like I said, we ultimately need to get above these 385.75s, use that to catalyst above the 387.37 and break out of this channel we've been trading in. So looking back though, like I said, SOS, FCEL, NKLA, CLOV, SNS, all I've seen more than $100 million in transactions this morning alone. All of them are all positive, meaning that it's going straight to the buy side. Of course, people had to sell out of that, so some profit taken there. I'm going to go ahead and track those. And I wish, what I'll do is, I'll create a watch list. And I like to always gauge my expectations, right? And give myself a scorecard. So what I'm going to do is active targets, liquidity targets. For our coffee and stock sessions, I'm going to add those 5. Those are my calls for the day that I'm going after immediately at market open. So I'm about to get ready to start looking for my options that I'm going to play on these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put long positions on them. And then I'm going to set those where my resistance levels are and my support levels. This will help me gauge how well I'm doing on some of this expectation. I'm going to pull this back just a little bit. There we go. Finally. Honestly, let me go back to the 4-hour because I feel like there's some higher levels we could pay attention to somewhere around there. So I'll actually pick this up to that level. There we go. And then, yeah, support's fine where it's at. As you can see, I was watching this pretty heavy. Trying to find some entries into it if I was ever comfortable with it, because it broke out before I could even get into it. So, it looks like we hit that bottom. So this will be, let me change some of my colors on here. I need to hurry because I need to start looking at my options. I'm going to get on some of these. And we have about 7 minutes for me to calculate all that. But it's pretty easy. Once I know my price points, like I know where I'm going with some of these trades. So looking at SOS, I'm going to buy some $6 calls. SOS. I will buy. Oh, looks like we only have $5, so it's currently trading at 6. Which ones am I gonna get? I'm probably gonna look at these April ones because it's only got a $1 theta on it, so I'm only losing at $1 while this runs. So I need somewhere to put this. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I need a new folder or something. There we go. Options. So this is what I'm looking at getting. 03, 09, 2021, SOS, $5. $5 April 16th, 2021 for 150 or 130 or 180 actually. Might jump up a little bit because the fact that the stocks are running this morning. And then my next one was FCell. I'm really interested in FCell. I love FCell. I alerted on it when it was at $8. It jumped up to like 22 or something like that. We made a sizable win off of that one. Love it. So I've been looking for a re-entry in it. I think it's sitting around $13, $13.76 right now. So I'm looking at paying $2.32 for April. Let me do this right. We're shooting for $13 calls for $2.32. These are deeper in the money calls as well. So, and then Nikolai, I'm pretty sure these are going to be a little more expensive for April. Oh no, they're about $200, so not bad. Now I'm going after these three specifically. These are the main focus, due to the fact that they've seen the most liquidity this morning. SOS has saw 463 million in transactions already in pre-market. FCell has seen 361 million in pre-market, and NKLA has seen 179 million. So I'm going to use my portfolio to basically spread out my calls on these trades. I can honestly buy, cheaper calls for like $118 and buy more calls on other stocks, which is something to consider. Because you have CLOV, SENCS, all seeing above $100 million in transactions this morning. So that's something I'm going to consider. I'll go through the trades, depending on how they open is what's going to make the determination if I have to buy cheaper ones, because I'm using this personal account to spread out. And then I'm also looking at potential puts on the SPY if it shows signs of pulling back. I need to do an analysis on it here in a second. This is going to be $15 April 21 for, mind you, most of these only have 1 to 2%, $1 to $2 theta on them. So I can let these sit for some time and not be worried about anything. So let's see, bring up my calculator real quick. 180 plus 232 plus 203 minus 969 will give me $354 to use against the SPY, whether I'm going to do calls or puts on it, which I'm about to analyze now. But ultimately, I think we're going to be pretty good for the day. Let's look at the SPY. And Also, I set this up on the 10-year. Let me put this here. Matter of fact, I think if I save this, it will allow me. I wish it would save this format for me because it doesn't look like it does. It really irritates me. Yeah, it doesn't. How do I save my layout? Sync on all charts. Sync crosshair, sync drawings, sync time. I like that. Sync symbol. Okay. Alright, so I guess I can just use this charting. I'm really just watching the 10-year and where it's currently at. That's all I care about. I don't really care about its momentum too much. I can go in there and dig it out if I need to. As you can see, it's kind of rebounding a little bit, which is kind of concerning. Can cause some pullback on us. Strong rebound on the 1 hour in play. Currently RSI's below that level. Expect a typically this happened yesterday. So, and I haven't had the time to go through the trade with you guys. I had looked at doing a market recap for the day and going through the actual option trade that I had yesterday on the spot, so you can kind of see how I played it. A lot of people have been wanting to figure out how I do my entry and exits and stuff like that. And I really missed the opportunity to do that yesterday. But back to my point. Let's see. Pop this out real quick. Pop this out real quick. I know this looks kind of hard for you guys to see. I can always go in there at any time and pull out my graphs or my indicators and kind of clear it up for us. Of course, this is always going to look like this because of the fact that I'm watching so many different levels on this thing over time. There we go, market open. What are we doing? What are we doing? Where are we at? So market bounced at 386. Like I said, we need to get above 387 before I feel comfortable. Let me pop this open so we can see it. Reset the chart. Pull the NQ out. Yeah, see, a lot of those that I was going to jump in jumped up like the Nikolai call I was going to hop in. It was at 180 or something like that. What was that? 203. It's at 250, 245 already. Missed the opportunity. Of course, I was expecting that due to the fact that everything's going green this morning. On this chart, let me pull out that comparison. Same here. So we can kind of get some clarity in here. We don't even have it. All right, cool. So, yeah, see that pullback right there? So this is going to bring down some of the trades I was looking at. SL, SOS, let's see where we're at on it. We're looking at 180 on those calls. Still at 180. Let me see how I feel about it. See how we opened. Just a little bit of a gap down on open. Pull those Tesla calls out of there. Or Tesla trends out of there. Kind of give us some clarity. 1 hour. Looks like it's going to try to rebound, but I'm going to see how it reacts first. Let's look at FSL. That's what I'm really interested in. It's currently trading at 1378. I'm going to go ahead and look at buying those now. I was hoping to get them around 232. They're currently $300 already. Jesus. Whew. That changes up the entire portfolio. Of course, I might not do my SOS calls and reallocate that money towards FSL. And RMO too is another one I wanted to do. Where's it at? 10:22 this morning. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy $10 calls for RMO at 135. Let me see how it's trading first before I just jump into the trade. I don't want to get bit. Bounced pretty well. Bouncing off low end. Has a lot of headspace to the top side. Open interest is okay on it. I just realized that, there we go. Something wasn't set up properly on my stuff. Let me see what the SPY is doing. 385, 84. Seems my time frames are actually out of sync. Uh-oh, breaking that level again. Let's see if we bounce off of it, though. Seems we've got a few more people. Who we got in here with us still? I want to see what Tesla's doing as well, so I don't get bit in the butt. My EV's getting pulled back. Yeah, it rebounded right off that 607.80. See, that's a concern. Showing momentum loss coming out of pre-market, but that could all change going into the day. What's the 1 hour look like? I mean, it's propped up to bounce, man. So I'm pretty comfortable with. I'm gonna go ahead and buy these F cells for that 300 since I'm not doing SOS. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to do SOS calls, but I'm just more interested in that F cell. As you can see, SOS is bouncing. Alright, so I'm not doing my Nikolai calls. I don't believe. I'm trying to see how I'm going to break this down. Because my Nikolai calls jumped $50. They haven't moved since. I'm wasting time waiting. Those F cell calls are down to 290 from 300 now. I can share this with you all. You guys can see it here, what I'm looking at. 284, so it looks like I'll be able to buy this a little bit cheaper. I'm just going to have it sitting on the sideline. We're going to watch it. Go watch it. F-Cell's on the NASDAQ too, isn't it? Yep. So if I'm going to hop in that trade, I'm going to be watching the NASDAQ, not the SPY. Not too interested in getting anything off of the SPY now, right now, as far as any yeah, there we go. Need that back in there. Oh wait, I got the 10-minute already pulled up over here. That's my 10, yeah. And then 1 hour. I think I'm going to go ahead and buy these F-cell calls for sure. But I'm watching that NASDAQ pull back. And seeing how it correlates. So let's look at the lower time frames on this. See how we opened. Looked like it gapped down just a little bit. Let me do this. Reset my chart. There we go. We can actually see what we're looking at. Some other things that I was talking about was ARK ETFs. I bet the options on those are ridiculous. ARK F, FinTech. Well, they're not that bad, but they have a lot of headroom on them. About $12 spread, $14 spread on them. Which I would make, if I bought ARK ETF, I'd make, either if I paid $340 right now, I'd make $52 for every dollar it jumps with a $12 spread into April. Not a bad idea, but just a little more expensive. You can buy the $80 calls on it for $59. I think I'm going to buy an $80 call, $59 for ARK F. It gapped up this morning though, so A little late to the party. I don't know. I only make $17 off that. I don't know how much I like that. I want to make the most I can per dollar we jump. As you can see, that trade I was looking at, it's already at 310, man. I'm gonna go ahead and hop in this because I expect this to continue moving higher. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pay $50 less for these out of the money calls. $3 theta per day. That's a lot. I'm not. Just try not to rush into anything today. Ultimately, just because things are doing well, you see Tesla's rejecting. That could weigh back down on everything. What's the SPY doing? NQ. Oh, the NQ just bounced like crazy. But Tesla's coming down, man. I think that's gonna weigh down on a lot of stuff. Currently 350, 396 below 300. So if I did that, I don't know about my Nikolai calls. Let's see, we were looking at 250 still, 248 now. Apply volatility 136, $5 swings. FSL coming down a little bit due to Tesla, I'm sure. Tesla's sitting at 600 right now. What's the SPY doing? 10-year still pulling down what we want to see. Nasdaq's bouncing, boy. Let's see what the SPY is doing. Okay, so we have some churn in the SPY. Right around those levels we've been paying attention to. Needs to get above 387.37 before I feel like we're in a bullish market again. Riding along that top line of this midterm trend we've been watching. That FSL call is down to 286 now. So 286, let's see, 286 plus 248. $435 to play with. 280. Looks like the SPY might be giving out a little bit. Looking for the right entries. Just like yesterday, I bought in too soon on the SPY and got burned for it. Well, I didn't get burned for it. I missed out on an additional $250. I made about $200 off that put option. I could have made about $450 to $500 off of it ultimately. And so what I'm trying to do is gauge my entries a lot better so that I'm getting optimal price and optimal, of course, profits off of these trades. Looks like we had some people fall back, so I'm probably not going to sit on this as long as I typically do. 274. Nikolai is at 233, so they're coming down a little bit. I can buy these and still have some funds for other things because I still want to get into RMO. I still want to look at SOS. KNDI is doing well. FRSX doing well. Let me give me a second though. Let my stuff recalibrate. So FCell's still leading the pack with 55 million after market open. I need to track the markets. Actually, I'm glad I just thought about that. Boom. Boom. Alright, SPY pulling back on us a little bit. Let me pull in my other indicators on this. There we go. Pull that up just a little bit. And what I'll do is I'll pull our drawings out of there, so it's actually a little bit more clear in what we're looking at. SL at 1341 now. Broke down a little bit. I'm glad I didn't jump into it and get ahead of myself, because I would have bought that for like $300 and already been down $30. Same with this. I would have been down about $20 on that option call. Currently at 235 now. 270 for this one. But I'm doing in the money calls, so that looks like we're popping off that bottom EMA. Let me confirm that. Move. This could come down a little bit more. So the 1 minute showing a potential reversal off the bottom EMA, but the 5 minutes telling me otherwise, that we have some headroom to the, or some lower end room to fall. So I'm gonna see what I can get in at a better price. First 10 minutes showing the same thing on the MACD, oversold going into pre-market due to the gap up. All the others are correlating except when you get to the 1 hour. But I might be missing my opportunity. So like I said, I don't want to get ahead of myself and end up losing, but it's all about that entry, man. That's what it's about. Oh, I didn't even know. Looking at RMO, might try to jump in at 950, 500 shares. Nice. Jeff, you still here with us? Who all is still in? Because I think I'm going to hop into this. Go ahead and hop into this FSL call. Yeah, it's bouncing hard off that 1 minute, but I still think it's going to come down a little bit. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. SPY jumping. It's really propping up on the 1 hour to bounce hard. It's above the EMAs. I might go ahead and look at some calls on it while I'm waiting for the rest. May calls are interesting for me. I make $62 for every dollar it goes up. What up, bro? What up? All right, cool. $10. 21 May 21 for 235. See where that puts us. 235 plus 270 plus 233 minus 969 2. Okay, so that gives me about, so this type of setup would give me about call or put about 231 to play with. All right. So where are we at? 286 already on that, on SL. 235 on RMO. Let me get to SL. 287. See what March looks like. I bet they're outrageous. Or they only have July, so that's going to be much higher for sure. Pay the same price for out of money calls on that though. What's FSL doing? Bouncing. Pulling back. Now it's jumping off those EMAs. I'm gonna go ahead and snatch that 285. Snatched. RMO made calls. 235. Honestly, like I would love to buy something like longer distance on this. Where's it at now? 1026. What's it doing right now? Look at the SPY go, man. So anytime I play the SPY, I do shorter term put options or call options. I'm not looking for anything long. We already got market open. Where are we at from there? What's our score? See, we came down to a 7 from that 9, so I think the pullback's probably already done. I want to see if it comes back at all anymore. But overall, I think the SPY's going to bounce, man. I think we're going to go higher. I think it's going to pull us out of that midterm trend, which is ultimately what we want and what it's doing right here on the 1 hour. I know it's kind of hard to see with all these other price levels that we have in here. I'm going to pull some of them out. These purple lines were intraday lines anyways. Above that 386.25, need to get above 387.37 ultimately. Looks like I could have bought those F cells for about 280. Looking at RMO now on the SPY. Let me look at my intradays on the SPY. I normally do about 7 to 14 days on these. So I'll look at the 14s and just have that kind of sitting there. Let's see what it's doing first. Looks like we might have some pullback on it. So I'm going to place my trades and then I'll probably hop off of here for a while. And go do some other stuff real quick. That thing's bouncing. Bouncy. Like I said, we got a lot of headroom for Nikolai to come up. A lot. Let's look at those April calls I was going to make. They're at 237. They were originally at 233. Put me at about 400. I'm gonna go for it. And RMO. Let's see what it's gonna do, man. Let's see. I mean, it's propping up for a swing. We're sitting. Yeah, we're about to break. It's about to break out. I am buying the 175s. It'll put me at about 446 minus 175, 271. It's eating into my SPY calls a little bit more than I like. Bottom. Hopped in RMO, got my FCL calls, Nikolai calls. And now looking at what I'm going to do with the SPY. I think that we all think we're going to do good. Yeah, I'm going with the SPY. SPY calls coming in. Let's see what I can get with them. Of course. Probably get some nice delta for some low end prices. What do I got to play with? 270. Doing just going with March 17th 391 calls on the SPY for 260. Hopping in there head first. Boom. All right. RMO calls up $12.50. FCell up $8. Nikolai up 50 cents. SPY down $1 because of my commissions. Those are my trades for the day, guys. As far as options, I always will continue doing my option trading live with you guys so that you can see it real time versus trying to track. And then I will do recaps with you. As far as my swing trades, they will still go through our traditional alert system, which I expect to start doing today on some of the same stocks that we shared here. Another thing to look in the EV space, LAC, battery manufacturer. It's currently on my scanner alert system. So top stocks right now with the most liquidity: FCell, Nikolai, SENS, CLOV, and DM. But for now, guys, that's it. I got some other things to top with you with on that one, Jeff, on RMO for sure. Who all we have in here before I hop off of here? It's about 9 o'clock, so I've been waiting to share some information with some of our people, and I feel like the SPY is confirming that we're gonna hop out of that midterm trend to the downside. Ultimately, we have the 10-year coming down. It's at 153.3. Tesla is going back up above 600, sitting at the 606.75. We need it above the 607. Find support there and bounce up. SPY currently at 387.02, looking to retest those 387.37 levels. Need that to break that. Once we break that and find support, we're moving to the upside. We need the 10-year to continue coming down. Looking at the overall day trade log, we're currently sitting at a 7. The VIX is picking up just a little bit, or going down. It's currently down 6%. Let's see where it's at from this morning. Down an additional 2%, overall 3%, down 16% from yesterday. All good signals to the upside for today. I hope we all make some money together. Currently up 10% on my Romeo calls already, up 5% on my FCell calls, down a little bit on my Nikolai calls. Just went positive as we speak, up 2% on my SPY calls. If there's not any other stocks you guys want, are there any other stocks you guys want to look at? I gave you the top 5 stocks off of my list for being here this morning, and for whoever watches this later and actually watches the entire 1 hour and 42 minutes. That's what I'm going to start doing. The longer you stay, the more I'll provide you for free, because a lot of this information is meant for our premium users. But you know, if we can build this YouTube channel where I don't have to charge anything, then I'll just give it all to you for free. So it's all about showing you support by simply sharing with everybody else to come join us here in our coffee and stock sessions. Tesla just broke 607, SPY up at 387.17. Let's see. FCell. I'm gonna be watching all 3 of these. FCell, Nikolai. That's gonna be on my watch list today. Nikolai, FCell just broke $14. Mind you, with the small account challenge, I only have to make $108 to $114 a day. So at any time I can get out of these trades. I'm already at 50% of that level now, up 5% overall for the day, 12% on Romeo, 8% roughly on FCell, up positive on Nikolai, and up 3% on my SPY calls. And I just cleared 1,000. So I'm up 9 times from where I started 2 weeks ago. I didn't do my SOS sales, calls. As you can see, it's currently churning sideways. I'm glad I didn't at this point. And what I'm gonna, I still need to keep it on this list, but I need to add Romeo to it because I made that call as well. So FRSX. I'm going to look at this one. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to look at this one and probably step outside real quick, smoke me a cigarette, and rejuvenate my mind. And then I can come back and look at some of these. I don't mind. FRSX. Let's actually put it over here so I can see. This might be confusing to you, but I can tell you like instantly if I have all 4 of these charts picked up at one time. So what I'm paying attention to is that swing that's identified right here on that 1 hour. It's going green on the MACD, propping up on the bottom of the of the EMAs. What I want to see is this sitting above that EMA around 762, and then the rest will follow. One thing that I am seeing though is that my chart is not right. Let me get it right. So I need my MACD. Then I need my RSI. And then I need my volume weighted over there. Yeah, looking good on the 30-minute. I think if you are already into this trade, Justin? If you can let me know, like I said, always let me know what position you have. Tesla up 614. FCell up to 1418. SPY booming. Currently up 6.68% today on all of my trades. And continuing to kick higher as we see the SPY go above that 387.37 level. So looking good so far. Pretty happy with the trades I made. Waiting, being patient, making sure I get my confirmations in before I just jump into something. FCell is going to take off. The fact that it's jumping above this EMA like that, it needs to stay above the 1364, and we can ride this to the moon, as they like to say. But ultimately, I think FCell deserves to be around $20 minimum. So, not saying that's going to happen in one day, unless Tesla goes to like 850 today. Then we could see that in the entire market. My Nikolai calls are pulling back on me a little bit. I wonder why it's at 1555. Has some work to do. I think FCell and look at those compressions on the EMAs. That's what I'm looking for in all of my trades. Bag holder. What's your price point? What's your price average? Don't be scared to share. We're not going to hold you victim. We all get caught in some of these. 1555. Looks like Nikola is biting me in the butt right now, but still up overall. I'm not complaining. Up 15% on Romeo, up 8%, give or take, still on FCell, up 5% on SPY calls. But I always do my tech analysis on these things from the 4 hour is where I start. It helps me identify my levels of resistance that stand out to me the most. One of those being right. Let me get my magnet up there. Blow, right there at that 651 where you're at. So I don't know where your price is, but it looks like it's setting up pretty well. If it gets above that 650, 644 and stays above that, then it'll launch back up to these higher price levels around $10 is what it looks like just looking at it from the get-go. Let me pull this comparison out of here real quick so we can actually see the stock. And you're looking at something like this. I can pull my indicators out as well so we can actually see the stock itself. Strong support around these 650 levels. I don't think it's going below that, although it dipped due to the market pullback. Something to keep in mind. 872. I mean, that's not bad, man. Honestly, this is a strong buy zone right here. In between the 6 and 55, and you're only 72 cents above it. You still have some strong headroom, about $2 on the trade, so that gives you about a 20 to 25% swing on the trade once it makes its way back to those $10 levels. FRSX is on the NASDAQ, which you would need to watch the NASDAQ moving forward and how it's moving in order to determine basically, let's see. Spread that out a little bit, move that, and then bring it down, and you can kind of see where it correlates. So once you start seeing the NASDAQ pick up, which it is, or last I saw it was, and am I looking at the right thing? Hold on. No, that's Tesla. I'm sorry. There we go. Boom. Pick that up just a little bit. So as you can see, as you see the NASDAQ pick up, you want to see the NASDAQ back in the 13,000 ranges, Justin. And if you can do that, then you'll be good. I'm currently positive above my daily minimum, which allows me to sit here with you guys. I can honestly get out of these trades and call it a day, or I can wait. What I would do in this scenario is go back through all of my trades and determine, how they're moving right now, and if I expect them to continue moving any higher. I just hit my 108 target. I'm currently at 1075. I've upped my account almost 10x now, just in the last 2 weeks. That being last Monday to today, being Tuesday. So I'm going to sit here and analyze some of these, but I'm going to step away for just a second, if you guys don't mind. And I will focus in on what the SPY's doing. We broke above those 387.37 levels. Now let's see if we find support and confirmation there. I'll be right back. I saw somebody just jumped in with us, but I'll be right back, okay? I'll be watching this in my backyard for a minute. Yeah, boy. I'll be right back, though, guys. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Sorry for the long hold, but I'm back. I wanted to give y'all some statistics on what I'm looking at right now. So, for every dollar each one of these that I bought into this morning, I'll make $229 from where I bought them. If they go up a dollar from where I bought them, and I'll lose a total of $30 while I wait. So, ultimately, I'm looking at a $200 spread if I wanted to hold these going into, day over day. I never really hold my SPY calls though, outside of a day, because you can gap down very hard on the SPY. So I'm currently doing well though. Only down $8 on my Nikolai calls. I probably should have waited just a little bit to get in those. I'm watching this watch list, which I'll put to the side, and we can kind of have those numbers readily available to pay attention to. Not these. Those ETFs, though. Those ARC ETFs, something to watch. They are cheap on discount. I think I'm overpowering my PC at this point. What was it? What was that watch list I named? Active trades? Active liquidity trades. That's what I was watching. There we go. SPY's pulling back a little bit on me. Want to see how it reacts to that 387.37. That'll determine if I'm going to hold on it. Get the word out real quick. Yeah, so now we're at that level. Bounced just a little bit below it. Looks like it might have some momentum loss to pull back, but I want to see how it reacts to that support level. As you can see, it's kind of bouncing off of it before I get out of the trade there. I have this active. I'm going to have to close out some of this stuff to relieve some processing power because I'm eating it up. As you can see, I got a lot of stuff open. Who do we still have with us, if you don't mind? Let me know. Looks like the SPY bounced right off of that 687.61 level. Glad to see that. Tesla's still above 607. That's going to be strong for our EV plays that we have trades in, that being FCell, Nikolai. And we're currently watching RMO as well as one of those trades. I'm going to stick those up to the top. And then our second one, those are the top three that I'm in right now. And I'm doing pretty well on all of them. Up 15% on RMO still, 10% now on FCell, down 1% on Nikolai, and up 10% on my SPY calls. Down a little bit below my minimum, about $16, so, not stressing. Or $18 now, excuse me. But just cleared 1,000 on the small account challenge this morning, so pretty happy about that. SOS is currently booming with a lot of liquidity moving into it. It's in about 163 million in trades since market open. Currently up 8.91%, but trading below $6. So I'm glad I didn't buy those calls because I would have been SOL. Just went positive on my Nikolai calls. So as Tesla continues moving to the upside, hopefully we see Tesla go to, 680 would be great. That's all I can say. Currently up above my, as we speak, I'm currently up above my my daily minimum. So happy there. I can relax. I think the markets are going to continue moving up. Moving forward, as you can see, the SPY is currently at 383 or 388.23. Bounced strong off of that 787.37 level. I bought some. What I bought was 391 March 17th calls. I bought them for 261. They're currently trading at 306. So doing pretty well. Pretty happy. Glad I've been able to do this in front of you guys. We need to get above the 380 on the SPY. We need to get above 388.39, but I'm ultimately looking forward to get to 389 before I confirm. Like I said, though, 387.37 was a key level we needed to be above to signal basically the bull market. I haven't looked at any news that was released today on the SPY. I'll go ahead and give you a rundown. U.S. indexes are trading higher as bond yields fall, driving a rebound in the tech sector. The recent Senate passage of a COVID-19 relief package has also lifted market sentiment, which is the things that I shared with you all earlier. U.S. House to vote on the COVID-19 package today. So let's see what comes out of that. I expect it to get pushed pretty hard unless they have some issues with the amendments that were passed. Looks like Walgreens has administered about 5 million of the COVID-19 vaccinations. I think we're at like 30 million in total. About to clear 1,100 on my account, by the way, as Tesla continues moving higher. Let's look at it, see what the momentum's looking like, because I'm going to gauge that to basically get out of my calls. If I see some momentum loss, then I will most likely hop out of here, but it looks pretty strong. For the most part, we got some headspace to clear, at least to about 700 to get above those EMAs there, but looking at a potential EMA crossover on the 30-minute, so I expect that to follow on the 1 hour. So looking good. Pretty happy with today's trades. I'm glad I was able to share that with you guys, so you can actively see that as we just popped above 620. Let's see where my account is. It's teeter-tottering around 1,100 right now, so not mad at all. SPY calls leading the way, up 17%. As far as profits go, it's leading the way. My RMO calls are up 25%. Like I said, I can hold these for some time. I'm going to get out of that SPY call probably by end of day, as I'm using that as a hedge to get out of my other trades. So just to give you a recap, I'm looking at making potentially $236 per dollar now, and potentially losing $31.26 the longer I hold these. These SPY calls are short term, March 17th calls, so it's like next Wednesday is when they expire. But like I said, I expect to be out of those today. I'm currently at 150 on my account, cleared 1,100, sitting at 1,118. Gonna let this ride out. I can honestly get out of these trades after hitting my daily minimum, but the fact that Tesla just crossed 623, I'm pretty happy with that. Timber making a good run today. How you doing, Marion? Is this your first time here with us on our coffee and stock sessions? I'm not sure if I've seen you here before, but we can definitely take a look at that with you. Glad to see Nikolai right there bouncing above those EMAs on the 30-minute. Timber is something I shared the other day. I did a review video on it. You can look at our daily reviews, trade review watch list to see some of those trades that I've reviewed. I identified on that we needed to stay above the 184. As you can see, it went down below due to the recent market pullbacks, which everything broke all of their levels of support, and it's understandable. But ultimately, looking at if I were to get into timber right now, I'd watch for those 232 levels. But be careful because they have earnings on the 12th, which is Friday. So you can see a lot of expectation going into it, and some sell-off on this Friday's reports. My question is it after hours? It's not really showing when their earnings report's going to be, so definitely something to watch. I'm about to clear $200 for the day, sitting at 178. By the way, just give you an update on that. Doing well. My Nikolai calls are even positive at this point, up 10%. FCell up 16%. RMO up 21%. That's their market change. My Nikolai calls are up 5%. FCell up 20%. RMO up 35%. And SPY up 20%. So doing real well. Just got a client, so I'm probably going to have to hop off here. I'm going to try to stay on as long as I can, though. I could probably do that on the side. But Marion, like I said, thank you for being here. I want to get back to your trade, though. looking at it, bouncing strong off of that 184 now that it's actively playing continued support. Honestly looking forward to be above that 232 though. I'm trying to get it where the timeline is a little bit easier to see. Give me just a second. I just noticed that stuff was taken off my watch list over here. But we want to see this above the 232. If we were to get into this at the $2, see how it reacts to that. It looks like a triple top, so it could break above it. Just be sure that it does. And if it does, you can let this hold and run. As long as it doesn't fall below the 232 moving forward, I would make that my stop loss once we find support above it, to go ahead and capture those, what is that, almost 15 to 20% gains from the 197 to the 232. But look for the support above it. Let it run. I mean, 15 to 20% gains is right at our minimum target for our swing trades. But there's a lot going on with timber pharmaceuticals. I am looking at doing a more in-depth review on it because of how well it's performed. I mean, it's bounced from the 120s to 320, $2 jump, about 200%. So definitely a good trade if you're. Are you currently in it? Also, if you can let me know, anytime you add a position on here or add a stock you want to review, please add your average, your price average if you're already in the stock, and let us know whatever your strategy is as well. But ultimately, I need to know your price average so I can base my analysis based off of that, because some people have higher price points than where the stocks are currently at. Bought XELA. I'm sorry, I just saw that, Justin. Go ahead and look at that with you. If you're still here, if you'll let me know. Oh man, bought at 269. So I like the fact that I haven't looked at this because I can go back in here and do some analysis with you actively. I love these opportunities. So what I look at is previous levels of resistance going back. This is all the way into mid-January. It's been above these, been at these 354 levels. I would watch to make sure that you find support here. If it breaks, go ahead and look at hopping out or scalping the trade. But you're already up $1.25, so that's about 50% almost of where you got in. I'm not sure how many positions you got in it, but you know, nice run, good job on that one. I'm always glad to see other people win it. It makes me feel better that, you know, like I told the Facebook chat, I'm looking that everybody, by the end of the year, we have nothing but winners in our group. No matter what community you're in, whether you're in the Millennial investment community, whether you're in the Investors Talk community, like as long as we're collaborating together, I expect everybody to be winners by the end of the year. That way we have a full trading team of like 50 people and everybody's finding potential positions and stuff, and we're all just winning, man. That's what it's about. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to show you my coding. Currently up $165 for the day, about 17% overall. SPY pulled back just a little bit. RMO's leading the way, 35% up. FCell up about 17%. SPY up still 16%. And Nikolai's moving up as well, about 6.75%. Ultimately, I'm going to be watching Tesla for the most part because that's going to be my speedometer, I guess you could say, in the EV space. It's propping up real well on the 4 hour, looking for a return back to the 650s, retest those levels. Dylan, some of you may know Dylan from Investors Talk. He has some long-term holds in Tesla. I've been looking forward to bounce up in regards to him so he can make his money off of that, but also overall for the EV plays. Let's see what we're talking about in the chat. My man making some money off those DPWs. We looked at that earlier this morning. I'm not sure if Antoine's still here with us, but looks like it's propping up and bouncing pretty well. Looking for an EMA crossover. Definitely a buy zone for takeoff target for DPW. O'Shea just said APPS is jumping in a lack of better terms. Currently at $70, jumped about $4 this morning. I think he bought in. He didn't tell us how many shares he bought in, but you know, same thing here. Everything's been patiently waiting to bounce today and is doing so. I'm glad we've taken the time over the past few weeks. We've been watching it since almost mid-February on the rebounds of the markets. And identifying our entries into some of these stocks that you can buy for such a discount. And that's when you see market rotation like this to the downside, that's what you need to be looking for, is identifying the reversal and then ultimately determining what stocks you're going to hop in. Tesla sitting at 630. Let's look at the Nasdaq and see how it's performing. Doing well, breaking out. Needs to get above that 12,757 before I feel comfortable about it. And then once it does, hopefully we can work to break out of this downward trend that it's been in. The SPY's done that already, so you can see some of those stocks follow. You can see the markets pick up based off of that. And then, of course, the House is looking at voting on the stimulus package on their end. Should be good to go, though. Pretty happy to see some of this bouncing the way it is. Tesla, ultimately, I mean, everything else is falling. I don't have RMO on the list. I need to do that. So basically, I'm going to put them on the watch list for how well they're performing. As you can see, RMO hit 1127 today. I think FCell was next, and then Nikolai was after that. The SPY hitting 388.54. I think we needed to get above 388.94, and we can confirm the move to the upside there. Hey, babe. Hey, baby. Are you? 1 second, guys. So, I always like to know who we got in here trading today, so I can address you properly. If there's any trades I've been watching based off of, what you suggested, I'd like to talk about that. We have our coffee and stocks list. Let's see how green it is. I mean, it's pretty much green, green, green. So a lot of these stocks are the stocks that you guys wanted to talk about. Of course, I need to add the ones from today and even the ones from yesterday, but unfortunately, I didn't do that yesterday. Let me take time to do that now. DPW is probably already on there. AMC is probably on there. And then we had, what else? PAL. I hope your PAL calls are doing well for you. It should be. SNDL is on there. LKO. I think Nick talked about LKO earlier. ELYS. Nokia is already on here, I believe. But yeah, I'm keeping track of this with you guys. SDGR. Yes or no, brought that up earlier. It's not on the list. I need to add it. Nikolai, I'm not sure we had it on there originally. Hey, Jeff, you still here with us, man? How are those RMO calls working for you there, buddy? You should be doing pretty well. I'm not sure what your price average was jumping down on that trade. XELA broke out this morning, looking good. Timber, add that to the list. What's up, Reg? What's up, Reg? I'm not sure how long you've been with us, but current 3 trades that we're in right now is Romeo, RMO, ticker RMO, ticker FCL, FCEL. I have some SPY calls. And then Nikolai is some more that I jumped into due to the fact that Tesla is bouncing the way it is. You want to make some great gains. Tesla is definitely a way to do it. Simple fact that it jumps. It can jump $100 in a day. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Ugh. Take that off. Yeah, it's already on here. Cool. So we'll look at our top gains here. What's gained the most in today's trades. XELA is the one that's hitting it. It's at 428. Oh my. Jesus, man. You should be banking, Justin. Good call. Good trade. Good entry. I think you're safe. You can let this run. You're deep in the money. What I'm going to be looking for is if it's ever traded at these price ranges before. And what I'm going to do is use that as an analysis. All right. So looking at the 354, it's actually played support before. Hey, how are you doing? RMO is bouncing this week. I'm going through the entire list that we've been following on our coffee and stocks, Miss Pandy. Let's see. I'm actually going to be doing some trade alerts here in a little bit. Justin, watch out for the 516 areas on maybe even a little bit lower than that. The 503s, you might find some resistance around that level. Looks like the 501 to be precise. currently trading at 423 and running, so might have some strong pushes in that to continue moving higher. Next in line is NLVVF, which is a penny stock. It jumped. Looks like it had a good jump this morning. OTC stock looks like it's trying to break back above the 42-cent, go back up to the 50 and retest those levels. That might play as resistance though, as this could be a short-term bump in all of the stocks across the market. CAN, a cannabis stock, currently retesting the 25.87. Watch out for that. GME bouncing to 236 this morning. I know our boy Jonathan and the group is doing well on that. Glad to see it's moving. NXTD is a Bitcoin play. Currently rounding. Good entry into this with it rounding off on the 1 hour and trading above those EMAs. You could see this bounce to 211. That'll give us about 53 cents on the trade. So that's about 33 cents return on the swing. RMO, like we talked about earlier, is bouncing. Looks like it's above on the EMAs. That's a good signal for a return back above 1190. If it gets above 1190, then I would watch out for the next level. I think Jeff jumped into this. I'm new into stocks, and your analysis helps me a lot. Thank you, man. Thank y'all for being here. This is why I'm doing it. This is for us to do it together, for us to win together. It's not about anything other than that, and any of the services I provide. But Jeff, watch out for the 1424 if we get above the 1188 on Romeo today. Honestly, it's a little bit higher than that. It's about the if we get above the 1206, watch out for the 1424 for some slight resistance. But we need Tesla to actually bounce pretty heavy on that. Some of you that have been here know, I have Romeo calls, RMO calls that are currently up 35%. FCell calls that are up 13%, SPY calls that are up 16%, and my Nikolai has just been trending sideways, up about 1% right now. I'm well above my daily minimum, so I can let these run. I'm looking at making $236 last I checked. For every dollar each one of these stocks continue to jump, with a $31 loss on what you call your delta, which your option plays. How I'm going to do it moving forward for some of our Millennial investment members, whether you have a free or premium account, I'm going to do my option trades live on YouTube in our coffee and stock sessions day by day, and I'm going to do our swing trades the way we have been through the platform itself. So I will be looking at the scanners today, and finally getting back to being able to feel comfortable with even providing you with any suggestions. That's been my thing. I haven't pushed a trade alert since probably end of February, for the simple fact of the market pullbacks. I didn't want to share information that'll get people caught up in making any losses, and then identifying better opportunities buying into some of these trades that we have been looking at. Even though trades have still been bouncing and stuff like that, it hasn't fit my criteria to let suggest this to you guys at all. So another one that's moving today is SCKT. I was looking at doing some options on it, but it doesn't have options. So that really, bugged me out, the fact that I couldn't buy options. I hate a stock that doesn't have options. Somebody needs to sell them. I almost want to be the person to do it. On my small account challenge, started at 100, sitting at 1134 in the past 2 weeks. 2 weeks being last Monday when I started. So I wanted to do this to show everybody what you can do with just $100 in a downward market, ultimately. And then that way, once you get to this point where the market reverses, then you have this example of how we can basically capitalize off those initial gains. So we jumped up to, I think it was 777 by last Friday, and now we're up another $400, give or take, just on Tuesday. So that's what we're watching for. BLNK, another EV play with Tesla coming up. You can expect this to follow. This is a $50 stock, easy. It's an EV charging station. You're going to see this across the board with most of these stocks that we're looking at, where they're doing these EMA crossover and round-offs, where the compression is occurring between the 13 and the 34 EMAs. That's what I follow for my crossover identifiers. I use the 13, 34, and the 55. And I use it on TradingView because I built a custom script to kind of give me a more visual statement of what's going on versus looking at my TD Ameritrade, which has the same analysis on it. It's just not as visual or visual friendly. And showing me my crossover points like this right here does. And currently, like you see how these are yellow, it's because it's trading within that cloud. Once it gets above that, that's a buy trigger on all of these. So F cell up to 14.39 a day. This is easily a $20 to $24 stock. I haven't even done DD on it. I initially alerted on this back in like November, December when it was at $8. Like I said, it ran to I think 29 flat or something. I misspoke earlier, but I expect this to jump back. If you were to get into this right now, then you would get 100% on the trade. So I've been doing re-entry stock alerts through the trade alert system. I believe this was one of them. I need to refresh my page so I can see what I'm looking at on that side. ELYS was added to the list today, currently up 15%. Having some issues getting above that 34 EMA, so that's kind of concerning. I would watch that moving forward before just jumping into this too heavy. Making sure that we're bouncing above those EMAs, but looking pretty good though. Had a gap up. Watch out for the gap down. It's only 50 cents though. Neo pulling up, another EV play. Tesla's pulling up. All of our EVs are going to be pulling up with it, as we identified. They correlate with Tesla. Tesla currently sitting at 627, bounced above the 607.80. We needed to stay above that moving forward, but ultimately it's conducting an EMA crossover as well. And that's why you see the same trend with these other EVs. Watch it when it gets to that 650 though. It was previous levels of support. Let's see if it becomes resistance or if it has the momentum to break through that. If it does, then we could look at this potentially going back to 720 easy. And I've been pretty spot on with Tesla outside of my statement that if it broke 607 last week, that it'd go to 500, which it dropped to about like 539. So I was $39 off, but you know, we were pulling back on it. I think that we're going to go back to those 728 levels, and that's ultimately going to bring up most of these EV plays about $2 to $3 at least. So definitely something to watch. FRSX, we looked at it this morning, still conducting its EMA crossover and showing strength to the upside. Let me pull this Fibonacci retracement out of here so we can better see the stock. GAXY, this is what I call a sub penny stock. You can buy a lot of these for cheap. You know what? I might go ahead, just going out on a whim. I don't know if they're going to allow me to do it, but let me see. I could buy, let's see how much I could buy with $9. Let's see what I can do with $9. 9.17. It's currently trading at 3 cents. I don't do penny stocks, so I'm going to do it just for fun. It's $9 risk, so not losing much. That's all the buying power I have in this small account left today. So let's see, 0.0344. I could buy 266 shares of this and see it jump 100% and make $20 off of it, just for the fun of it. But you know, it's all in doing this in light of the fact of proving how well this EMA crossover system works. ONTX, I re-alerted on this stock, I believe, and it actually we closed it out. I might look at doing some re-entries in a lot of these. Mogo, I've pushed Mogo to you guys before. I re-alerted on it when it was at 807. It's currently at 811. It's currently at 807 right now. So definitely a time to re-enter into that if you missed it before. Honestly, I'm going to go down the stocks list, and I'm getting ready to start redoing my Millennial investment portfolio. So definitely something to look at. Good morning, J-Dub. Good morning, Reg. Is now a good time to jump in or wait to see if things... So what I'm watching is the SPY. I'm watching the NASDAQ. The house is... and I'm watching the 10-year Treasury yields, which are now at 155. So they kind of picked up a little bit, which is concerning. But as the economy reopens, we need to go ahead and position ourselves to be comfortable with that. I'm going to answer your question about Neo here in a minute. J-Dub answering, picked up a Romeo call. Oh, wait, there's some more stuff I missed. I've just been chatting over here, running my mouth. So TMBR, I'm going to get back to my point. I'm not going to forget it this time. I've noticed I've done that before. TM, BR, you got in at 186. 186, you're at 212. Okay. Make sure you keep that support above the 184. But like I said, what you want to do is get above that 232. Once you get above the 232, you can let it run. And then we had RMO calls for 1250 on the 19th of March. That's fine because I think, let's see, 1250 calls for the 19th. Got it for 32 cents, $32 basically. You're not risking a lot, but I'm not saying it's not going back to 1214. Ultimately, that's where it deserves to be. But of course, we need Tesla to stop bringing everything down. As you can see, Tesla's having some issues getting above the 630, and that's kind of concerning on my part. As far as my account right now, I'm only up 159, but I'm up 159, which is like $40 over my daily minimum for me to sit here and for free and talk to you guys. Reg, is it a good time to jump in? Back to that point, we saw the U.S. 10-year drop below the gap up that it had over the weekend to the 158% level. It topped out at 160 and then gapped back down to 153. It's currently trading back at 154.4 or 155.4. So keep an eye on it. I actually have it right here so I can constantly monitor the price point. I'm not necessarily looking at it all day. But of course, the Senate passed the stimulus bill, which allowed for the gap up this past weekend. But the House is voting on it today. So what I'm expecting is the House is going to push it through pretty easily. But the concern is the fact that there were so many amendments done to the bill that, there might be some deliberation that the House has to do before they push it. If they push it, then we can expect the markets to follow. You could close it now for $52. You already made $52 on it, Justin. RMO, I know you're winning, Jeff. Good morning, J-Dub. Back to your point, Neo. To look at Neo, you got in at $35. Do you think another pullback will be soon? I think overall, I'm basing the pullbacks off of the SPY. Back to that conversation. And the SPY did something this morning that I was glad to see. It broke above the 387. I want to say it was the 387.27 levels or something like that, and actually retraced back to it and found support, or 387.37 or something like that. Found support off of it, bounced, and has continued showing momentum to the upside. Now, what I'm watching for is this pullback on the 5-minute. I might hop out of my calls on it. I have some 391 calls on it, but we're seeing some good EMA crossovers on the 30-minute, and it looks like we're going positive on the 1 hour. I want to see the SPY above the 388.94 for confirmation of bullishness in the markets moving forward, basically signaling a buy position for you, J-Dub, or Reg. But Neo, pullback. The question about the pullback relies on the same information. SPY above 388.94, we're taking off. I think the algos are going to kick in and just blow the market out. And then we'll potentially head back to those 395.05 levels. That's where we want to see a lot of our stocks right now, so that we can capture them cheap now and blow out for the next week. Once the Senate passes that secondary bill and then it's handed over to Biden and he signs off, he's probably going to sign off as soon as they close it. I'm pretty sure he has somebody waiting at the door of the House chambers ready to deliver it straight to him, and he'll sign it as soon as the House signs it. So expect that to hit. A lot of the new bill to capture full benefits out of it requires taxes for 2020 to be filed. So one thing to pay attention to that, and while I'm saying that is because you can gauge the amount of liquidity that's about to hit the markets, is the IRS was already having issues with filing because they saw like a 20% influx from last year compared to this year in taxes being filed immediately as soon as it was available to do so. So pay attention to that. Pay attention on what the IRS is saying on how they're handling taxes coming in, because that allows for more people to capture child credits. Any missed stimulus that may have been done is based on taxes. They're not just sending out a check to you. It's going to be included on your taxes. So that's another thing to consider when it comes to this particular stimulus package and how it's different from the rest. So Pay attention to all that. Bitcoin currently at 422.62, 54.262. I'm sorry. Tesla breaking above 630. SOS still below $6. Glad I didn't buy those calls, because I would have been down and waiting for it to come back up. SENS, I wasn't following it very well, but it's up 5%. COLV up 7%. RMO up 19% and running. Nikolai up 5 to 6% and FCell up 15% overall. Today, let me look at my account and see where I'm at. Still sitting at like 150, just trending sideways. Going negative on my Nikolai calls. Bleh. But anyways, not worried about it. Well above my requirements to sit here with you guys. My RMO calls are up 35%. My SPY calls are up 20%. FCell up currently 15%. So seeing some churn right here on the SPY. I'm going to be paying attention to that 5-minute is an indicator that we might round off right here at the 388.92. It might churn sideways before it does break out, but I'll pull it up on a bigger chart here in a second. I want to see what Tesla's doing ultimately because I'm going straight EV with my options. As you can see, like I said earlier, propped up well, played below this midterm trend line that I identified, but gapped up above it, which is what I was waiting to see for my trigger in the EV space. Pulling back to 626 right now, but the SPY's pulling back at the same time. So we might see some sideways trend. I'm going to look at our daily trading log, which tracking everything. Like I said earlier this morning, for those that are with us, this was at a 9. Anytime you see the 9, you're going to see an explosion in the markets coming open. You're going to see some pullback. So it's now at a 7, and that's what we're seeing is that pullback. The VIX is still down 8% today overall, which is a good signal, and continuing to drop since this morning. It dropped an additional 5%. I'm going to go ahead and track the markets again. And this is basically what leads me in making my entries and exits in the markets. I'm going to add DXY to this, which is the dollar, and I'm going to add the 10-year treasury yield. So it'll be added to the scorecard overall, so that we can track that moving forward. But I saw that Justin said he made, what, $20 off that? Hey, man, that's what, almost 100%, right? So, green is green and still is red, as I always say. But any other trades you guys want to look at, we can continue going down our coffee and stocks list for sure. I have no problem with that. Neo at $39. You said you got in at 35. I think that was key, man. Like, you bought that at a wonderful price. I don't think Neo's traded this low since probably mid 2020 or end of 2020. But still, like I said, we're buying a lot of these stocks at prices we missed opportunities at. Of course, it would have been nice to buy it at $10 level, but we had this pullback, and that's expected. Neo just completed their earnings call on the 1st. One thing to keep in mind with that, J-Dub, is that you don't have to worry about it playing a part in killing the price anymore. Neo had a great earnings call too, by the way. But the price action behind it just didn't make sense. Of course, that was at the beginning of the month before last week's pullback too. So the markets overall pulled back on it. I think if you get back above the 42, 45, man, just let that thing run to the moon, as they say all the time. I never really ever say that. But as you can see, Tesla's pulling back to 623. Let me do some more in-depth. Needed to stay above the 607. Expected to have some issues around the 630, like I said. It's playing resistance again from its most recent breakout. But the momentum it has, I believe, is going to get it back above it. That's what's different about this resistance level. Is you saw that slight EMA crossover and then the rejection, and then it just dropped out that entire day. And that was in pre-market. So when once market opened, that's when it dropped down, and it actually hit that 540 level. But the difference is this momentum swing that we have to the high side. It's currently oversold on the 10-minute though, so might see some pullback, but you should see some what I call a double RSI bounce, where it'll go oversold, it'll pull back a little bit, and then it'll go oversold again at higher price points. I did that with the SPY yesterday, and so while we have some time sitting here watching the markets move, I'll explain my SPY action yesterday. Somebody asked me yesterday, why are you shorting the SPY? Well, there were some things that stood out to me. For one, I expected the stimulus package being signed by the Senate to have a larger gap up on the SPY. It only jumped about, I think it was up to 385. It was like maybe a $1.50 jump. That caused some concern. I knew that we were going to open up and come higher, but what I was looking for was that resistance around the 387. So what I did was a ladder approach on my purchases for my positions, where I bought one at that first spike right here to 386. Saw that resistance, bought that first option. Or actually, I think I opened up because I saw this rejection. I opened up and bought one, and then like midway up, I bought another one. And once it hit that 387 area and found that resistance, I bought a 386 put. And it actually continued to like 387 at its high, but ultimately this is where I capture my gains. I didn't sell until like 250 yesterday, and I made like $200 off the trade. I put up like $777, the full account actually, on these option trades, and I made 200 off of it. So I'm not doing that today, of course, because we broke what we needed was, a lot of people see that it breaks this midterm trends or these trends that it's been trading in for a long time. But typically those are fake outs, and they're going to retrace first and then they break out. And that's what we're seeing right now. So it's the same thing as that double RSI bounce, where it'll go, if I pull this up right here, it'll bounce, it'll pull back, it'll bounce, right? So it's a swing. If you look at the stock market as a sprint, a long-term sprint, you have somebody running. They can run very hard for about 10 seconds, and then they're going to take a 5-second, or not even a sprint, but a cross-country run. You run for 10 seconds or a mile, you take a break for half a mile, and then you run another mile, and then you take a break. So it's gas with air. If you look at it that way, you can kind of understand how stocks kind of move in that correlation, if that makes any sense, or to give you any type of visual. Tesla currently trading at 625, sitting right above. Any good moves for today? Yeah, let me look at the scanner, since you guys are sitting with me. We can look at them actively. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see how well my help is helping you. I'm gonna go down this list on my scanner, and it looks like about 15 stocks that I'm looking at, and these stocks have over 10 million in trades so far since market open. And I want to look mainly not even at the analysis. I want to look at the indicators, not the tech analysis, as far as the levels of resistance. And I want to see what your expectations of these stocks are, because the main thing that we focused on going into this was identifying our key levels, key level of resistance, key level of support. And so I'm going to ask you now, do you feel like this is a good trade? SOS. I'll let it sit there for a second, and then I'll move off. Do we feel like this is a good trade? Are these good signals that we're looking at? And actually, I'm not showing all of it. Let's pull in our RSI a little bit. Pop that up. All right, this is our MACD we're looking at here. Who thinks SOS is a good trade right now? Just simply based off of momentum. All right, I'll move on to the next one. Nikolai. Is this a buy? Is this a hold? Is this a sell? And the reason I'm doing this is because I can sit here and talk all day, but if it's not for you, agreed. And I'll go back to that, Justin, because there was something that caught my eye initially, just right when I looked at it. If it'll load, of course. There we go. This 34 EMA rejection. It rejected right off of it 3 times, and then it sold off. It tried, it didn't work. That's a triple top rejection. And that actually happened in pre-market. So when it opened up market, when market opened, it fell ultimately. SOS, strong trade is what you're saying? You would get into this right now? Because we can break it down. Let's see. Looks like a longer term trend right about there. I've broken this down like to the beat, so excuse all the lines on it and stuff. Like if we would have bought a position on this earlier, remember I was going to start tracking these. It's already in the red. I'm not saying it's not going to bounce. It's not a good company. I haven't done any fundamentals on it. I haven't done any DD either. This is just straight technical analysis. And that's the only reason I'm focusing on that is because that's what we mainly focused on when we started this channel. We started doing our live streams. Nikolai. I actually have calls on Nikolai right now. What are your thoughts on Nikolai right now? Based on its price action. This is on the 4 hour, mind you. This is on the 1. Thoughts on Nikolai. And I'll move on to the next one. And these are actually going to be some that we haven't reviewed all day. So let me close some of this stuff out. I'm really eating up my processor, I guess. Next one is Ride. It's on my scanner right now. What do you think about Ride? Let's focus right here. No, Nikolai. Nikolai, buy. I feel like we can get a better price point on Nikolai. Like I have options on it. You already know that. But I'm currently losing on those options. I'm down 5% on it. Simply due to the fact that it had that EMA rejection at the 34. Now, long term, yes. Entry is what I'm focusing on. I guess I need to clarify that a little bit more. That's what I'm looking at, is finding the best entries into these if we're going to buy into them. Ride, Lordstown Motors. I actually did some DD on this. Pretty good company, sound company overall. Actually lower than its price point. Lots of fraud charges. I need to look into that more. It's probably why I'm losing to it right now. I'm only down $10. I have like $227 or $237 tied in on an option call on it. VLDR is next. Look at these EMA rejections. Yet, mind you, the rest of the market's pulling up. I don't know what... Is this on the NASDAQ? So maybe I need a tab for specifically the NASDAQ. Matter of fact, I'll do it like this. I don't even need this one. I want to put my SPY back here. Back up above 630. EV plays should be moving. Nikolai in particular. No. Okay, I currently hold 300 shares in Nikolai at 11.52. What? You should be winning. ZOM average 101. What do you think? What? Oh, you have an average at 101. ZOM needs to get above 212. I know that off the top of my head. It's currently trading. It was trading at 194 the last I looked at it. But I've been saying that it needs to get above 212, hit 235, and then it'll retrace to 239 or 291 or 94 or something like that. But if you were to get in at 194, you're looking at a $1 jump. So that's at least 50% on the trade. If you were to wait for the confirmation above the 212 and it jumped to 235 and you let it run to 291 or that 291 area, of course, ZOM is releasing some new product to the market into March, I think. But get above that 232. That's a safe zone. Put a stop loss at 232. Let it run to 291. Look for an exit or resistance around that level to scalp the trade. Back below 630, I wanted to put the SPY right here so we can track the markets overall. Currently going sideways. What I'm going to look for, as you can see, the MACD is showing a signal to fall, although the volume weighted MACD is showing a prop up to continue moving higher. And it's currently oversold on the 5 minute. We're going to see a double dip. on the RSI. It's going to pull back a little bit, and then it's going to bounce out. So that's my expectations on it. As you can see, the 1 minute is actually showing compression and on the RSI and potential for bounce to the upside. I can kind of spread that out just a little bit. If I can spread that out just a little bit. All right. Let's go down some more of these trades real quick. But I have in queue I need to put right here before I do that. U.S. 10-year Treasuries looking at 156 now. So we might see some slight pullback, but the market might be resilient at this point. People might have a trading frenzy and trying to get back into the markets. Remember what I told you about the NASDAQ. We needed to get above that 12,757. It actually played as strong resistance right now, and we're seeing some pullback on it. Now, topping out on that EMA though, that top 13 EMA, but could potentially drop out to the 34 around 12,622. But hoping that we can use that top EMA to bounce off of. Let me look at the 1 minute. It should be reversing. Yeah. So we see that hook right there. And if you ever get a hold of these EMA scanners that I use, just because you see it going red does not mean that it's going to bounce. It can be a consolidation area, slight pullback, if you want to call it that, slight correction, however you want to word it, but a bounce off is ultimately what could happen here. So I'm going to keep that up. SPY trading at 388.49. Like I said, it was propping up on the 1 minute to compress and bounce. Could have came out of the RSI a little bit more before it did that. I would have felt more comfortable about it. Looking good on the 30. Let me pull my indicators in on it. And I'm going to pull this down a little bit. It's a little high. Pull this down as well. So, let's see. Some more on the list, though. We looked at VLDR. CLOV is something we looked at this morning. It's actually on our list now. Now, CLOV currently trading at that EMA. It looks like it's currently breaking through it, and that's on the 1 hour though. Let's look at the lower time frames real quick. Also, who all do we have on here? I always like to check in and see who's with us, who's not anymore, so that I'm not talking about something that nobody's here to listen to, or that asked me about something earlier. I like CLOV, by the way. It's propping off of that top EMA, looking to bounce above that 801, which actually played stronger resistance for it in the past 2 days. But I'm going to pull it back and see if I haven't done any technical analysis on this whatsoever, it seems. Let me bring my indicators are already in here. So let's do some tech analysis together. Let's see if we can justify getting a trade in this. Now, I'm going to tell you this. My EMA scanners are actually built for the 1 hour, for 1 hour setups. And it looks for that right there. So that's why we're seeing these stocks that see these downtrends, because I'm looking for the reversals in them. Quick update on my options from this morning. SPY up 26%. RMO up 25%, 10% pullback from its height. FCell up 17%, and Nikolai just went positive, up only 1% though. But back to CLOV. We haven't done any tech analysis on it. I haven't done any fundamental analysis on it. So I don't mind doing that with you guys this morning. Let me pull out all and open up this. Now, with CLOV, what I'm looking at from a 4 hour time frame is a strong level of support that it played a part. And as soon as the markets pulled back and it lost that, it actually tried to find the support again, but then gapped down. All right, so if I were to get into this right now, we're looking at a $2 jump, potentially around 25 to 30% swing on the trade back to the 993. I would see how it would react to it first. But you can still get 20 to 30% trade. There's a good one for you. Cardparts.com. Haven't done any analysis on it. Oh, well, let me go a little bit more in depth because I want to find price points above those levels. I always look for the midline level of resistance we need to break through, and then the top line that we'll run into next. which sits right around this area right here at the 1328. So if it's able to break above 993, then you're going up to 1328, which is almost 60 to 75% swing on the trade, just off the top of my head. That is going to be our top line resistance, and then I have a even further top line resistance up here, of course, at the 1759s. So I do this like this so that I know where we're trading in our price ranges, right? So right now we're trading between the $6.77 and $9.93 price ranges. We're currently on the low end of that price range, so we can see the prop up just looking at the stock chart, simply looking at the price action, the candle wicks, and where they're positioned in these channels. So a little bit below 50%, which is somewhere around 850 or something like that, give or take. So we could bounce right back above that and continue to move to the 993 for that initial, what was that, 20%, 30% swing I said? I'm doing math off the top of my head too, so don't quote me. And then where I would let the trade go is as long as we find the support above the 993, I'd send out an update in this scenario saying, hey, set your stop loss at the 993 and let this run. You could start scalping if you want to secure some of your gains. Next trade, though, was PARTS. CLOV actually just fell off of my alert system, by the way. This looked like it tried to bounce this morning, but had some pullback. See why, I can already see it. Just looking at the chart, but anyways, still here while I'm working. Cool. We got Justin, we got Reg, we got Miss Pandy. It looks like Jeff may still be here with us. J-Dub still here with us. Justin, I'm not sure if you're still here. We had some people earlier, a person named Yes No, and someone else, Marion, I believe. Marion McCovey. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm not sure if y'all are still here. But moving forward, car parts. Let's do some tech analysis. Then I'll bring in my momentum indicators and see where it's reacting to that. Great level of support around 1640. Broke down, of course, everything. I keep having to say this. Everything broke their levels. But the fact that they're gapping back up above them is what we want to see. Is this on NASDAQ or in a NYC? Or New York Stock Exchange? Man, I'm really bogging this PC down, ain't I? It's on the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ doing what? Bouncing. Back to the upside. Had some slight pullback on the 5 minutes. So expect this to potentially follow. It probably bounced because the NASDAQ was showing some potential to pull back. And then, saw some loss in that momentum. But overall, I think the overall markets, the futures are going to pick up. I think all these stocks listed on them are going to follow. So if that is the case, though, to finish my analysis on this tech-wise, is 2086 level. Need to find support at the 1640s. It's currently at 1627. Broke below that support. I can look on the lower time frames and see where we're at with that, and bring in my indicators back now. And pull this back out so I can get the rest of it. Looks like we're rounding off on the 10 minutes. So if you were to hop into this right now, you can at least see this jump up to the $17 intraday, and then continue riding up to those $20 price levels. I actually watched an interview on this company a while back. This is a very good company, actually, and how they're managing their business. They don't even care what the stock price is, if that makes any sense. And what I mean is they're focused on making sure that the business alone is performing how it's supposed to, and they understand that the stock price is going to follow it. And I like that thought process, where you can have an AMC that they do a stock offering in the middle of a short squeeze because their stock has exploded, and all they do is pay their CEOs and their board of directors bonuses, basically. Anyways, I'm not going to speculate on that too much, but that's my price levels on it. I guess it got pulled out when I did this, so let me pull those back in. Let go of it. Give them back. Yeah, my PC is slowing down heavily. I need to cut some of this out. Let me make sure. Let me get rid of what I can at least. Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff open on this side. Give me just a second.
Clear some of that up so it works a little bit better for us. Some more. Let's look at some more though. Now we have our price targets on that. 2086 on PRTS MBT. Mobile Telesystems. Currently trading at 841. Let's see how it's setting up. I don't like the setup on this one. I'm going to move forward myself. Excuse me. Need more coffee for this coffee and stock sessions. Another EV play that's on the list for today. Of course, all EVs are doing well. Is LAC, Lithium Americas Corp. They're a EV battery manufacturer. They're on our EV battery manufacturing list. We've been watching them through our coffee and stock sessions. Broke below the 1697. Found support around the looks like the 1427. But it's making its way back to that 1697. My concern is it might find some shorter term resistance around that level, but needs to get above it. Great entry point because it's below the buy zone that we identified before the last week's market pullback from last week. But so you're getting this on an extra discount. Could potentially jump back up at least to 1890s minimum if you were to buy into it now, which gives you about $3.12 on the jump, which is about 20% on the trade. Off the top of my head, of course, not to be exact. UMC's been on my list for the past few days. It had a strong pullback, but bounced off of that 783. I don't even think it made it that far. I think it bounced really off the 802 from what it's looking like. But it's currently trading back up at 848. I would see how it would react to the 859 levels first before I hopped into this. APPH, let's see, had a strong down trend. It's new to App Harvest. I think I looked into this, just IPO'd not too long ago. I want to know why it broke down. So I'm going to pull up our news over here to the side and see. Looking at it, looks like it's propping up on the 30-minute very well, or 1 hour very well. 30-minute looks like it has some work to do. Could be pulling back here, back to the 200 or the 180 SMA, which is about the $18, a little bit below $18, about 17 something. So I'm looking back all the way to what is that, March 4th? Yeah. What happened on March 4th? So apparently this is very weird. The CEO had an interview apparently. They're wanting to build an epicenter for food production in the U.S. is more resilient to climate because the company now has controlled environment agricultural systems. Was able to partner with big retailers. Has an amazing management team and amazing employees. Produces its products without chemical pesticides. I like that. But are you switching that out for something else? My next question. Each farm's capacity will be a source of financial revenue in the future. I'm just not seeing anything why it would pull back so hard after this guy's interview. I mean, it dropped 11. What is that? $10 just off of this interview, and it's all good stuff. So, weird. Definitely would like to see some of their fundamentals. This being a new stock, I'm not going to watch it too long. HYLN. See where we're at on it. SOL up 34%. We could definitely look at it. 15 minutes ago. Looks like I have some family in town I might have to go see here in a minute. So I won't be on here too long. I'll give you an update real quick on where my account is. My small account challenge up $175 this morning with SPY leading the way on my calls. Up 25% on SPY, 32% still again on RMO. FSL up 20% give or take. And of course Nikolai down 1%. I'm kind of mad I bought Nikolai because I could have put that money somewhere else and made some more money. So far, 3 out of 4 calls good, so I'm not complaining. Only down $6 on the call. And of course, these calls are into April. Most of them, or 3 of them, all April 16 calls for RMO, FSL, Nikolai. RMO $10 call in the money already. FCell $13 call in the money already. And Nikolai $15 calls. Where's Nikolai trading at right now? It's currently at 15.37. My grandpa just called, so probably gonna have to hop off here. Sorry, I had to see why my dogs reacted the way they did. But SOL, you want to look at it? Cool, let's do it. And another thing, J-Dub, like I'll tell you this now, like I'm highly reluctant of jumping on things that are up like more than 10% before I get into them, right? So like my mission here is to find opportunities before they jump. Okay, so a stock being up 34% like that kind of concerns me. The stocks that I jumped in today, I think they were up maybe like 7% when I got into them. But my sole goal is to find stocks before they move, and I did well in building a system to identify that, and it's based off of what I was talking about with these setups that we're looking at here. I do want to check back in with the futures real quick. Look at that. We're finding some resistance around the 388.94s, man. We really need to get above those levels to signal the bull market. Otherwise, we could see a market pullback. But let me reframe how I said that. We could see the markets pull back a little bit. But it's currently trading out of that midterm trend, downtrend that we've been focused on here. So I don't think we're going to pull back into that downward trend. I think we're working hard to break out of it. As you can see on the 1 minute, we're bouncing right off the top of the EMAs, even though it's pulling back. I think it's going to have the momentum to continue moving through those levels. But we ultimately need to see this above 388.94, and I think once it hits that level, it's just going to take off. I think the algos are just sitting on the sideline right now, waiting for that to be confirmed. And of course, that 388.94 level was a level that goes way, way back. Like, it's not something we've just been watching here recently. All of my trend analysis basically comes on prehistoric. I always say prehistoric. Historic price action, right? So basically how the stock reacted to these price levels before is kind of what I use as a gauge in determining how they will react to it now. And a lot of that has allowed us to find resistance levels that we run into for potential exits and stuff like that. So 388.82. 1 second. Alright guys, as you can see, my little prodigy is with me now, so she just woke up again. So I'm gonna have to tend to her. I'll give you guys a few more minutes to ask me any questions about any trades that you may want to look at. Can I get my hair back, baby? Say hello. Say hello. But any trades you want to look at before I hop off of here. Also, if you haven't already, if you're new to the channel, I'm gonna share my Facebook page. As always, be sure to add me on there. I can add you to our live trading chat, I guess you can call it, our free trading chat. We're always talking about potential trades throughout the day, even when we're not here live on YouTube. So have that in there. If you haven't already, feel free to register a free membership just to get some of our announcements and updates here at Millennial Investments. If you would, show your support by simply liking and sharing, ultimately sharing the YouTube channel, as I'm looking to build this moving forward. As an alternative to allow my entire platform to be free and still pay my bills. Of course, I'm doing that with trading, but you know, I have a retirement to think of. I have children, college funds to think about, and things like that. So there's a lot more to it than just, you know, trading and making money every day. But all I'm asking for is your support and sharing the channel. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing more. If you can share it every time that we open it up on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that, that'll actually help me build the channel a lot easier. So I would highly appreciate that if you could support us that way as we continue to grow together. But if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and give this little one some of my time for the rest of the day. And I have some family in town anyways. But other than that, I will be looking at doing a recap to give you guys an update on where I'm at with my account by the end of the day. I'm about to clear $1,200. Started with $100 last Monday. About to be up 11x currently on what I'm looking at. So what's leading the way in that is RMO right now up 40%. FCell up 23%. My SPY calls up 23%, and I'm still positive on my Nikolai calls. I could hold these all the way into April with these calls. Give you an update on what that looks like real quick before I hop off. Clearing $200 for the day. Pretty happy about that. My delta on this now is $41 a day for every dollar. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. My delta is $243 for every dollar we go up from here. And my theta is still sitting at $31. So you see the exchange, the trade-off in options, and that's ultimately what I wanted to do. So why I am not pushing option trades through the platform and doing them live is so that you can get used to how to utilize them first before I share that information with you, and you have the tools also to understand how to exit them properly in case I'm not updating you quick enough to get out of the trade because something happens in a split second. I always had those concerns about sharing option information and then trying to devise a system where I can update you immediately in some form or fashion. So I'm going to look at building the system for that in the platform. The mobile app has been submitted for Google Android. Waiting on Apple. I need to check on that to see if they approve my developer account. And then we'll go from there. But you'll have an app, and with the app, I'll build a system where I can, just click a button real quick and say that, hey, I'm closing this. And then I can provide the additional details and maybe like a review afterwards on the YouTube channel so you can get a visual of why I played the trade the way I did and just understand what we're looking at, you know what I mean? But other than that, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your support. Like I said, if you could continue to show your support by simply sharing the channel with other people. I'm not asking for anything outside of that. And also feel free to add me on Facebook. And as you can see, this little one's getting upset at me because she can't have my phone to call people. So I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here, okay? Thank you all. Love you all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good day. I hope I was able to show you some potential investments that you can hop in with our trade alert system and how it works and what we're looking for and trying to get in the trade before the trade takes off type thing. So other than that, man, have a great day. Like I said, look forward for the recap. I might be doing some video reviews if I find the time today on some trades that I'm interested in. Oh,